Live from Mortgage One Studios, Russ Clark Show back with you. It is Tuesday, the 10th. Yeah, 10th of March already. It's already it's already moving along. Uh, Thanks for tuning in. I know we're not on the radio signal yet, but I guarantee you there's work going on that we'll get back on that and just not on social media. Now my phone is working. It's just going to be my cell phone right now. We still haven't got any equipment hooked up or permanent phone lines. We're kind of waiting till the signal gets put in and all that, which will get done. Uh, but definitely call in 928 344 5258. No, 928 941 0304. My apologies. Helen told me yesterday I did that. Gave the old phone number. The old phone number does not work. It's my cell phone number, 928 941 0304. I've been telling you about my heart condition. I do that for information so that anybody has that kind of situation, they can I don't know, it's not a history. I mean, it's not a mystery. It's straightforward. And I don't mind doing that. Some people question it, like, why would you give that out there? It's not a big deal to me. I'm just kind of I'm kind of excited about the technology and the stuff that they can do. It's kind of amazing. I've always liked the medical field, the technical field, and all those kind of things. But I got to tell you, yesterday I did have some complications. Eh, I call it complications. I had a little bit of a scare yesterday when I was on air yesterday at about 8:30. So I'd been on air about 2.5 hours. I'd already been up since 2. I'd been doing research for quite a few hours, reading, getting things together. Had a few cups of coffee, and I s- my eyes got really bothered all of a sudden. My eyes were I don't know. I thought the lights were bothering them, and I started getting a little tunnel vision, and I found it hard to read. I couldn't make out I couldn't make out what I was reading. I thought my eyes were dry or something. And then I wasn't really dizzy as much as I don't know. I just had a buzzing or a lightheaded feeling. Not good, especially after I just went some heart procedures. I had a pacemaker put in 2.5, 3 weeks ago, and then had a ablation, which they go in and they did in part of the heart that's causing problems. Sending out mixed electrical signals, and they write in there when the discharge papers, and they tell me that for the next 3 months, I could have incidences of returning to AFib or rapid heart. I could have some issues as the heart's healing. They didn't put a lot of restrictions on me, so I didn't put a lot on myself. But I felt better. I took a quick break at 8:30, just for a minute or two, cleared up a little bit. So I went back on the air, didn't say anything, went back on the air, and at 9 o'clock, I went straight home, got Helen, and said, Take me to the doctor." Because I read some of the things to watch out for, and it said, "Hey, if you experience any of these, call your doctor." Well, I called, the phone was busy, so I just drove over there, talked to him a little bit, very nice, and I explained to him what was going on, and they said, one thing was weird. They said, "Well, throw cold water in your face," which I said, "Well, if you got a glass, go ahead and have at it. I don't have to have one with me." But by then I was feeling more normal, a little fatigued, but more normal, and I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to do the cold water thing, but that's interesting to know. I just went home, took the rest of the day off, and I had a busy day plan. I was going to be at the gym at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, and I had a busy day plan. I didn't do any of it. I didn't do the research. I didn't do the stuff. I relaxed. Um, Today I feel good, but I felt good yesterday. This is my first cup of coffee today. I had a decaf earlier. This will be it for today. I don't know if coffee was the problem. But sometimes I forget that I've been through a lot. My body's been through a lot, and I continue to do what I'm doing. as best I can. I mean, I took off work on, I didn't do anything Thursday and Friday. Obviously, I didn't come in here. I didn't go anywhere else. I stayed home. Like the day of my, invasion, whatever it is. It's a procedure, I guess. They don't really call it surgery. Call it a procedure. It's catheter, but I'll try to do better. I'll try to remember that I'm working on stuff. That my body's working on healing, and kind of take it easier. Maybe we'll see. I keep checking. I've got monitors, my phone and other things, my watch monitors. Keep an eye on it, and I check it constantly. Make sure because it's kind of nice to look at it and see that it's all normal. I mean, I've been looking at my heart monitor for the last 6, 7 months, and it shows complication. It shows AFib. It shows rapid heart rate. It shows all kinds of stuff. Now I'm showing normal. So yeah, I like looking at it now a lot more. In the news, uh, and I guess I'll start off talking about Trump a little bit, and we'll probably go back and forth on that because there's so much happening and so much going on, and of course, your opinions count. Give me a call 928-941-0304. Um, Trump went to went and had a little meeting. I think he was down in Florida. He was down in Florida and he had a press conference or someone had uh, talked about Iran. Edward keeps correcting me, but he talked about where we are and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Edward just sent me an article on Texas turning blue. I saw that. I didn't read it. I don't believe it. You know, they, I'll take a look at it, Edward. I will. I will. I'll take a look at it. I didn't believe it. I think that's kind of crazy talk, but okay, if that's what you want to believe. He talked about what's going on, and there's a lot that's happened in the last few days. What has it been? Has it been 6 days, 7 days? I don't know. Eight. Uh, that the military strike started in Iran, something like that. But it's been an amazing deal. He said Iran will face much stronger U.S. military strikes if it closes the Strait of Hormuz to oil tankers. And Donald Trump said that on Monday. How how can it have more military strikes? And from what I've read and from what I saw early on, there was more movement of aircraft going into the Middle East than what happened during World War II. In that short period, it was just massive amounts of aircraft, and it took a lot of aircraft. It's not just the fighter planes, the bombers, but it's the transport planes, the refueling planes, and they had to have who knows how many refueling planes out there. But when you start flying squadrons of aircraft like B-2 bombers and fighters, stuff from the United States, uh, they have to get topped off constantly. They have to get topped off, and those B-2 bombers, they take off out of the Midwest. They fly over to Iran, drop their payloads, and fly right back. They don't stop anywhere. The B-2s make the round trip. So they've got to meet with these fleets of tankers, mid-air refueling, in order to keep them going. I mean, they have long range, but they don't. They can't make that trip nonstop without some assistance, and that means they're sitting in the cockpit. I forget how many hours they said, but it was more than a day. It was more than a day straight. I hear they have a microwave in the B-52, so there's a microwave. You can heat your food. It's not a lot of stretching out room. It's not like flying in Air Force One, I don't think. They probably could take a nap setting up, but I don't know if they do shift work on the naps or not. But something keeps them going. You'd have to talk to one of the pilots. But anyways, they say it's going to get worse. How can it get worse? I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just trying to use my imagination to figure that one out. I don't know. I mean, pretty much he's been throwing everything out. But Trump goes on social media and says, "I pray." He prayed that it would never happen. That it has to get worse. If Iran does anything to stop the flow of oil within the Strait of Hormuz, they will be hit by the United States of America 20 times harder than they've ever been hit thus far. Now they're going to go 20 times some historic numbers. I mean, it's already historic numbers from what you've read, bigger than World War II. He's gonna go 20 times that. I kinda like the guy. You know, he he does. Yeah, exaggeration maybe. Additionally, we would take out easily destroyable targets that will make it virtually impossible for Iran to ever build back as a nation again. Death, fire, fury will rain upon them. But I hope and I pray that does not happen. And that is possible. You know, they could easily knock out their ability to have water. They could knock out their ability to have power. And you're talking major cities. And we've talked about it before. Like if an EMP ever hit the United States, we'd have hundreds of thousands of people die, maybe millions of people die. If we shut down our energy grid completely, if that completely shut down, and if it's an EMP, of course, all the vehicles would be damaged, or at least most of them would be sidelined. And so transportation of food, fuel, wastewater, oil, water, essentials of life. Who knows how long that would be dropped off? But what does it take? A month or two of absolutely having no food and water in major cities? And I say no food. They've got what they've got, but that stockpile is going to run out. Uh, Kind of hard to grow new crops without tractors running. So yeah, it would be devastating if you could imagine. Well, the same thing would happen to Iran. I mean, they've got major cities. They got Tehran. They got other cities, major cities that rely on power, rely on all that. The United States could easily. They own the skies over there. They've got the destructive ability to knock out all the power plants, to knock out desalination plants, to knock out everything that's making life available to them. And he says he prays it never doesn't happen. So do I. I mean, that would be uh, probably more devastating than a nuclear bomb. He said this is a gift from the United States to China. And he's talking about the Strait of Hormuz, that he's working to keep it open. He's been threatening Iran with more. He's offered to escort some ships, and I understand some ships have gone through there, container ships. I don't think there's been any oil ships go through there. And even though Iran has been devastated and militarily and just destroyed the navy, destroyed the air forces, as far as I know, and at least that's the claim. The air force is destroyed, and their abilities to launch missiles and drones has been greatly diminished by 70, 80% or so, depending on the numbers you listen to. Their ability to manufacture has been greatly diminished as far as new weaponry, new drones, new missiles, missile launch sites. Three-quarters of them for sure have been knocked out. But that still leaves them with a lot of, I mean, some. It leaves them with some very powerful stuff. And if they wanted to damage an oil tank or something going through Strait of Hormuz, they may have the capability, and we may not be able to stop it. So these these ships, these oil tankers have not tried to go through, as far as I know. I know they sent some container ships, and there have been a couple ships that have hit, and they had some fires on them. I don't know the result of that, and how much damage was done. But it's a war zone. It's a war zone, and you want to take a tanker through there that is like a turtle, goes very slowly, doesn't steer. It wouldn't be hard to figure out. Wouldn't be hard to figure out its trajectory, where it's going, how fast it's going, and you could hit it with about anything and cause havoc. I think the Strait of Hormuz is 50 miles wide or something. It's not very wide. There's not a lot of place to hide in there. You're going to be open to that. As a result, the price of gas, and let me check the price of oil. It went up to 117 a couple days ago. Right now, it's at 89. I had heard yesterday that it had gone back down. That some of the stuff Trump was doing said it went back down, and so far today, it's gone down $6 a barrel. 6 bucks a barrel, and some of the headlines I'm reading here: oil sinks over 5% as Trump predicts Middle East de-escalation, and that's what he was talking about. Yeah, it hit 117 temporarily, and keep in mind, you know, when Trump was talking yesterday, he talked about a de-escalation. He talked about the possibility that it's going to be over soon, and that he may be satisfied that the destruction is of the capabilities of Iran to create havoc have been so greatly diminished that he might look at stopping it soon, which was a surprise. But he's got to keep in mind the upcoming elections. We got elections this year, and voters they can vote on anything they want. They can say, "I like the toughness. I like the fact that you're taking away these long-term threats, the nuclear capability, and all those kind of things." But at the end of the day, they do vote on pocketbooks. But by and large, it's economy. Stupid. Wh- Who was it said that? I know it was during Bill Clinton. Was it Bill Clinton that said it, or was it like one of his guys that said? I don't know. It was economy stupid. I think it was Bill. They do look at that, and Trump's got to look at that. I mean, he's not running. He's not on the race, but in essence, he is because if he loses the House, they're gonna impeach him every day. Nothing's gonna happen. Everything will come to a standstill because the Democrats will they have such a fervor to attack this man. They'll do it. They'll do it constantly. They'll do it constantly. So it looks like oil right now, but man, everything's volatile. Don't count on it, but it looks like we probably aren't going to hit that $4 a gallon. Looks like it may start coming back down, and the world price still matters, even though we're energy independent. We're energy independent. That we make enough oil. We drill enough oil. We pull enough oil out of the ground to completely cover our needs. But these are independent businessmen. There's no rule or law. They have to keep it all here. They we do export some oil, and the world price makes a difference. Where we don't live in a country like Venezuela or something that dictates to the oil companies. Well, here's what you have to sell it for, and then put them out of business. Long term, that would not be. Short term, it'd be fun. It'd be great. You'd live it up. You'd live high on the hog for a short term. After that, there'd be no new exploration. There'd be no new oil companies. Things would start moving offshore, and they'd go to a more stable environment. Um, so we have to put up with this right now as we see. But Trump is signaling an end to the conflict. That was his deal Monday. He was at the Doral Ballroom, by the way, in Miami. It was initiated on February 28th, so it's been a couple weeks. He indicated the conclusion imminent, but well, yeah, he indicated the conclusion was imminent, but soon. No, but soon. Is it imminent? No, but soon. And he was asked because he was referring to a matter of days, and he responded, "I think so, a matter of days." Well, there's a big hurdle to overcome. My understanding. He was looking for unconditional surrender, which is the way that the United States used to win wars was unconditional surrender. Japan or Germany, European wars and all that unconditional surrender. Now we made great friends out of those people. I mean, Japan is a great ally and a great power. Germany the same way, great ally, great power. One of probably one of the strongest European countries. I think they're at the top, and that's helping that country after unconditional surrender get back on their feet and institute. They instituted a democratic type government that was acceptable. And of course, there was a lot of help coming in from the government, a lot of investment, a lot of that happened, and they worked out. And I'm assuming that's the same thing he's looking for here. That's why the unconditional surrender. Well, I don't know. That's what we're gonna what he sees yet. I don't know. The supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei is passed. He's gone, and then his son Mojtaba Mojtaba, I don't know, Khamenei, the new supreme leader. My understanding is that people the people in Iran have never really heard his voice. They don't really know who he is. He's just the son. He's a radical like his dad. He They say he's the new supreme leader. He was put in as a supreme leader, And then we get reports that he was involved in a bombing. Yeah, he lost his wife, he lost, I guess, children, his dad, and it looks like he might have lost his leg. And he doesn't someone I heard comments that he doesn't know that he is the supreme leader. I don't know how that's gonna go. That's kinda like having Joe Biden as president. Like, give him an auto pen and he'll be fine. I don't know. Trump said everything they have gone, including their leadership, everything they have. In fact, there are 2 levels of leadership, and even actually, as it turns out, more than that. But 2 levels are gone, 2 levels of leadership. The strikes, very powerful, very effective, may have eliminated officials or individuals the general public had never heard of. What's Rand's assembly of experts, that's the clerical body responsible for succession. They're the ones that put Junior in. And I heard a blurb on him yesterday that he actually owns the building directly across the street from the U.S. Embassy in London. Yeah, these guys are jet setters, and they get out. I mean, I know they live in Iran or that, but I think they got more money than the average wealthy person in Iran. They're going to outdo them. Yeah, they're clerics, but I think they pull a big paycheck. We'll be hearing more of it. Trump at the same time says it's going to be a matter of days, and the conclusion's coming. He also says it's ramping up. I heard they were moving a third aircraft carrier over there. I don't know. I don't know that I got a lot of. I don't even know the name that they're moving over there, but additional aircraft carriers could be deployed to Middle East. U.S. said expected to deploy third aircraft carrier. I mean, there's a lot of. Oh, it's USS George H.W. Bush that that the press has pointed out is on its way. That's deployed. I don't know how long it takes to get there. They're not the fastest thing, but they do 24 hours a day. They keep running. So at the same time, he's saying that it's kind of narrowed down. But maybe that's the point. Maybe the point is to keep everybody guessing. Nobody knows, but everything's possible. I think he wants a conclusion, if nothing else, for the election season. We're in election season. A conclusion will boost the economy. It'll lower the oil prices, and take away that argument that he's causing all these problems. So we may see that. We may very well see that. Australia is granting asylum to 5 Iranian women. I remember seeing this. There's some a soccer team in Australia. There were some games that were going on, and those games happened during the U.S.-Israeli attack against Iran. That's when it began. They were already out of country. They were already playing soccer, which they call football. I understand. Uh, they were there for a tournament. Well, they happened to win some kind of award medal. They did well, and when the national anthem came on, the Iranian national anthem, they didn't sing. Well, there's a lot of concern for these women. There's a lot of concern. That could be a that could be a death sentence in Iran. It's not in the United States, and you can go to the Olympics and be a U.S. citizen and play for China. You're not going to get hit with those kind of penalties. You may lose some public appeal. You may get some pushback from sponsors. You may get some opportunities that disappear. No one's going to put you to death for it. Well, that's real for them, and they face that. So the minister for Home Affairs, Tony Burke, there in Australia, said last night I was able to tell 5 women from Iranian women's soccer team that they are welcome to stay in Australia to be safe and have a home here. Yeah, there were a lot of countries and a lot of people calling out for Australia to give them asylum. because the dangers are real. And yeah, they're real. You know, we have people coming to the United States illegally asking for asylum uh, because they need a job or something. That's not real. That's why 95 or more percent they get turned down. That this does not qualify. These ladies qualified. They did. They refused to sing the anthem. And I don't want to begin to imagine how difficult that decision was for each of the individual woman. But certainly last night it was joy. It was relief. That's according to Tony Burke after he signed the document. People are very excited about embarking on a life in Australia. Australia is a tough place to migrate to. It's not like the United States where you just walk across the border and say, "Take me to your hotel." Um, they have some strict rules. I was offered a job in Australia years back, and when I was working for Napa Corporate, and I went out with some vendors and with Gates Rubber Company actually. But this Gates did not offer me a job. But they had a guest over there that was running distribution centers in Australia, and he said that they could not find people willing to buckle down and really do the work. He said, "Why don't you come to Australia? You're going to love Perth." I did not do it, but I talked to him about it, and I said, "Look, uh, what would that entail?" He said, "Are you married?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, no, then it doesn't work because for me to take a wife to Australia, even if I had a work visa, even if I was legitly sponsored by a company, the wife would have to be sponsored by a company, and they didn't have a job for her. I guess I don't know. I mean, I didn't take it all seriously. I was very happy with where I was, but I found it intriguing and what it would entail. But that's when I first learned that going into Australia as for more than a vacation is not an easy deal. They just don't welcome immigration like what we're used to, where man, you come to the United States for about any reason. Up until recently, I mean, this last year has been a little tough to walk across the border and say, "Take me to your hotel." You may not get a hotel. The I know I just read about Trump a little bit, but the same article came out. I mean, same time that Trump's saying they're winding it down, Sitcom announced a new operation for Epic Fury. And Epic Fury is what they're calling the operation on in Iran. Wh- Which if you watch some of the uh, strategic um, bombings and things that had to be done by the military and how they got that accomplished, it's pretty amazing. There's a lot of YouTube channels that have been devoted to explaining some of the operations and how they work. But Sitcom says there's been 5,000 targets hit by the U.S. since February 28th. That is amazing amount of work, and I'm sure that's going to include U.S. military. No, it just says just U.S. military. It doesn't even include it doesn't even include Israeli attacks. And in Sitcom forces are striking targets to dismantle the regime, and they're sending out a list including more than 5,000 targets struck in Iranian ships that have been destroyed or damaged at 50 plus. And those are Iranian ships. I think they're military as far as Navy. I think they were only 9 of them, like 9 military ships. I guess the rest of them cargo ships or something. I don't know. But I don't think they were counting the little bitty boats that they used to swarm. The stuff you'd see the Somalis in on the pirates or something. They must not be counting those, but they've got to have more ships total. But as far as Navy goes, that's been gone. And and they gave a listing of some of the things they deployed, the U.S. assets they did deploy. Stealth bombers, which we know, the B-2, amazing machines. I still can't imagine. being in the B-2, I saw a special on it the other day about, some of the bombing runs they had to take. They don't really have a defense, they have to have fighter groups protect them. Their defense is not being seen, not being detected. They're flying, 40, 50,000 feet, and they're not being detected. But if somebody happens to see them, they can be shot, and they've gotta know that. It would be, you know you know, pure luck to be able to find one, like when the bay doors open or something on radar. If your radar was pointed directly at it, you might see a little blip for a minute and get an idea that there's something up there. But amazing, and those guys are flying in knowing that there's hostile assets all around them, knowing that there's aircraft in the air looking for them, and they know they've got some F-22s that are, uh, giving them cover and giving them some protection, but they're vulnerable. That's a pretty gutsy that's a pretty gutsy move to fly over a country 2 and a half times the size of Texas to make a bombing run and know that your weapon is being quiet, not being seen, not using the radios. Do your target and get the heck out of there. Um, but that's what they do. So stealth bombers, the stealth fighters, electronic attack aircraft, and of course the F-15s. I think they're F-15Es. They can detect when radar turns on, and then they can pinpoint where the radar is. They can just follow the beam right down, and they knock out the radar side. But that's a tough match because if the radar's on, then they can see you too, probably. They try to jam it and all that, but at the same time, but they're not totally home free. There's a lot of work involved. And another aircraft that was over there is called the U-2 Dragon Lady. I think most people know what a U-2 is, but I was surprised. I'm like, what the heck are they flying a U-2? U-2 is strictly a reconnaissance vehicle. They go out to take pictures and stuff. It's from the 1950s. Yeah, 1950s. Its first test flight was 1955, and they're still using it. I thought they were retired. Apparently not. United States Air Force is still using them. NASA's still using them for reconnaissance. But I can't remember the exact amount they made. They made like 100 of them, a little over 100 of these U-2s, so some of them are still flying. Uh, there's a small group of aircraft that are over 50 years old that are still flying within the Air Force or are still active. I'll give you a list. The Boeing B-52 is very famous. That we have that one. The Boeing KC-135, the Lockheed C-130, transport, and Lockheed C-5. I didn't realize the C-5 was 50 years old, and the C-5 is the largest airplane in the inventory. And there was a chance I was going to be retired many years ago because they were having wing fractures and stuff, and they just retrofitted them. Well, these U-tubes, they travel at such high. Their deal is they get up so high. They're built like a glider wing with a jet engine. They're not particularly fast. It's not like the SR-71s that would fly so fast you can't catch me. These things are subsonic and 400 miles an hour or so, but they'll get up to 70,000 feet. So the pilots have to wear, they wear like an astronaut suit because there's no air at 70,000 feet. So they're wearing that, and and their whole thing is that they're so high you can't reach them, and that's the way it was. Of course, during the Cold War, Gary Powers was shot down. I don't know if you know that name. 1960, Gary Powers was shot down. He was in a U-2 over Soviet Union, and it's 70,000 feet. But I think he was below that for some reason. He was having trouble and got below 70,000, and they shot him down. But he landed. He was captured. He survived. He became a helicopter pilot for a news crew in California and died in an accident later. That was Gary Powers. There was also a few of them shut down in China. Yeah. Um, there was one shot down during the Cuban Missile crisis, and I guess I didn't know that until I started looking up the U-2. But they used to fly over China. It's so high that you couldn't, they couldn't reach him until they could. You can't reach him until you can, and then they could, and, eventually we agreed to not fly him over China anymore. I thought they were gone, particularly since all the satellites took over and can pretty much map everything. They can figure everything out just with that, but, they're still around, and they travel at 70,000 feet, and something was interesting I just was looking at this morning because I was curious about the airplane, like, why are they still keeping it? Why is that thing even useful? When it's flying at 70,000 feet, there is there's a speed they have to maintain within 10 to 12 miles an hour. You know what a stall speed is? A stall speed is when the wing stops flying. Every airplane has a stall speed, and if you fly, you're familiar with your stall speed on your aircraft because you don't really wanna go slower than that. Slower than that, the wing stops flying, and it's not an airplane anymore. It's less than an airplane. So, the stall speed on a U-tube is like a glider, so obviously the stall speed's pretty low. I didn't copy that down exactly what that is, but, it's not gonna be very fast. It's got a very big wing, so it's gonna be very low, but the higher you go, the less air there is. The density reduces. So the stall speed changes the higher you go. Well, when you're up to 70,000 feet, the difference between stall speed and maximum speed is only like 10, 12 miles an hour. So you got to maintain close to maximum speed in thin air, which, the higher you go, the less responsive your controls are, the less, because this thing's flying like a regular airplane with a wing, the less responsive everything is. So so it takes some time to get up there. And then you're at 70,000 feet cruising, you gotta maintain that within a few miles, and that's the difference between stall and staying up. Of course, if you stall an airplane, you come down, you can regain. It doesn't mean you hit the ground, it just means you do a little free fall till you gather enough speed to keep that wing flying. But interesting they still use them. I can't believe it. From 1950. I was born in 1950. I'm still around, but I'm not doing the heights I used to do. I'm jumping, but not near as high. Apparently these planes are still getting up there. They're still moving. A little comment from Trump, and I'll probably jump back and forth a little bit on that. But Trump spoke to China. Now, the Chinese have everything to lose with this Iranian war. They do. They're allies with Iran. They are. And they've been supplying Iran with a lot of materials to build weapons. Although my understanding, not the lethal part, the electronics and the stuff in order to complete it, and Russia's been doing the rest. And they're getting the rest who knows where. Uh, but China's been a friend to Russia, Iran. They're looking at any place but the United States. Although they sell a lot to the United States, we make the Chinese economy. We do. There's no economy like us in the world that can buy the toys and throw them away the next day like us. And China's happy to make them all day long. So it's a weird relationship. China, they're anti the US, but they want to have an unfair trade balance with us constantly, and they have had that. They're a third world country with the second largest GDP in the world, third world country, just due to size and all that. But it's weird. But the Strait of Hormuz thing that is shut down because of Iran. Iran's made threats to disrupt oil, and that's their intention is to cause disruption so that it puts pressure on the United States, and the United States will say, "Everybody stop bombing Iran because it's hurting our economy." It's not working so far, but believe me, Trump has an eye on that. He's looking at it because he's running for reelection, and if he hurts the economy, it hurts his chance of being reelected. Well, the Strait of Hormuz being shut down disrupts 20% of the world's crude oil. Yeah, one fifth of global LNG exports, also it's liquid natural gas, all goes through that strait, through that 50-mile corridor, 50, 60-mile corridor, right by a war zone. So obviously not a lot's moving. Well, China's gets more a large percentage of their oil that comes through that strait. So they're hurt more by it than most of the world, more than the United States, which, technically we have enough oil for us. I mean, we make enough oil. We drill enough oil. So Trump addresses it, and he talks about opening it, said that we need to open it. Talks about the size. He says, I mean, we're doing this for other parts of the world, meaning we want to keep it open, including countries like China. They get a lot of their oil through the straits. So we're doing this. We have a very good relationship with President Xi in China. We're really helping China here and other countries because they get a lot of their energy from the straits. I just find that very interesting. He's really going after helping out China, at least verbally. Now, China has openly gone out and said they're going to start helping Iran more. Yeah, Iran. Even though Iran is cutting off the oil to China, that's not the reason they're doing it, but that's what's happening. Is the oil's getting cut off because the straits isn't it's not passing through there. At the same time, they said they're going to start supplying Iran with more than just electronic parts, more than just non-lethal, more kinetic stuff that goes boom, which is interesting. And yet we're friends with them. And China and Russia both have had a very tight relationship with Iran, and Russia's relied on Iran a ton for their drones and for weaponry and for parts that has been traveling out directly out of Iran. Iran has given them blueprints and given them the capability to build their own drones. I guess they probably get some royalties. And then they signed a pact with Russia. Russia canceled it, by the way, the other day. They canceled it. They said, "Well, the pact is no longer the law is no longer valid because the Ayatollah died." Yeah. Plus you have nothing to offer anymore. According to the pact, Russia was supposed to go in and help them, which Russia can. They're pretty thin. I don't know if you've noticed the Ukraine war is still going on, and Russia's lost a lot of assets. So they don't have an abundance that they can just start sending to Iran, and for what reason? I mean, why would you send any aircraft right now to Iran? I mean, yeah, they need it because United States and Israel bombed them all, took them all out without any losses. So yeah, you could send them over there to get them bombed. I think they've already proven the United States has already proven that it's dangerous and they're vital. I mean, viable. Those anti-aircraft work. The Russian anti-aircraft are very good. Our United States government's just that much better, is all. And they have a way to get around it, get through it. It's still a dangerous thing, and God bless those guys in those aircraft and the ones that are facing that down every day, that are doing that. That is not a piece of cake. I wouldn't imagine. I mean, there's a real possibility of something going wrong, and those anti-aircraft weaponry uh, can hone in on you. Um, these guys are amazingly talented with the best equipment. But the relationship with China is kind of weird. I mean, they're helping our enemies at the same time we're helping each other. We buy from them, and I know the tariffs have been put in place to try to slow down some of the imbalance. But there's still a lot of American companies uh, that have given contracts to China that build a tremendous amount of their merchandise. And we get container ships in from China like crazy. And a lot of things are built in China. I know companies that have started to diversify more, but even Tesla's built mega factories in China. I don't know where all that goes in the long run. Um, I mean, right now they're still operational, they're still working, they're still doing stuff. But it's a weird relationship, and the tension between the countries it's pretty high. And Trump created it. I'll tell you that Trump did create the tension because past presidents never wanted to face the problem. And anytime you tell them no, and you slap them down, you say we're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to let you take advantage of us. Yeah, it's going to create some tension. So yes, Trump has created tension, and I know that's what they're going to label him as tension, but he's doing it for the betterment of the country, bringing jobs back and bringing all that back. And I don't know how much that's going to help him in this next election, though, because the jobs and the money being invested, the money coming in, it it hasn't built the buildings yet. It hasn't really spooled up to the point yet, although some of it has, some of it started. But the amount promised is many times more than what's actually here right now. So if he gets derailed in this election and we lose Congress and they start impeaching him every day in order to stop him from implementing economic securities and his economic plan and reducing the price of things and all that, then that's exactly what's going to happen. And politically, the left will blame it on Trump and say, well, he was president, so he was responsible. Uh, Give us socialists back power, and we'll shorten the bread line for you. I mean, I just hate to see it. But it's a real possibility. I know Trump has plans. Trump's working on it and all that, but it's a scary proposition. And I think most people look at the Senate and say the Senate's not going to flip. But you look at that House and you think very possible, very possible, because it's so razor thin anyway. And history shows us the incoming executive branch has a disadvantage in that, uh, by and large, loses seats. And if the economy's not doing well, the chances of losing seats goes way up. And while our economy's doing much better than under Biden, mainstream press is downplaying it, which is crazy. But that's a fact we live with. That's exactly what we've got. There's no way to get around it. Um, yesterday, we had a guest on the radio show. You know, Lou. He runs, he runs a YouTube channel for cars, car shows, American-made car shows. So for the first time ever, he was at midnight at the Oasis this last weekend, and the guest of Derek Egbert that invited him and made sure he was taken care of, and that he could expose Midnight at the Oasis to his audience, and that's good for both of us. It's good for both of us. Well, he was in on the radio show yesterday, but had to cut out of here at about 7 o'clock. About 7 o'clock, he had to go because he had to get an airplane. He had to get on an airplane. He had to get back home to Illinois. I don't know why you want to live in Illinois, but that's where he lives. So he was on his way back to Illinois, and he got to the Yuma airport, and they canceled his flight. I hate that. You know, and I don't travel much anymore. Very rarely. I don't travel that much. But when I traveled a lot more, um, I got tricked more than once at Yuma, leaving or coming in. You know, coming home, land in Phoenix, and your flight's canceled, or you get in an hour late and it's already gone. You know, it just was frustrating. I had to rent cars and get back to Yuma. You know, and that's just a normal thing that you knew could happen. Traveling in and out of Yuma. Well, his flight's canceled, and the next flight to go into Phoenix was going to be at 5 o'clock. But yet his flight to get to Illinois, was long gone, and his rebooking is tough because booking right now is kind of tough. So Derek drove him to Phoenix yesterday. So he drove him to Phoenix, and he caught his normal flight, the flight that was already there. So he could easily drive there as fast as you can fly there. I mean, that's not uncommon. I mean, To be in the air, it takes half hour, 40 minutes or something to fly, but you gotta get there 2 hours early. You gotta load the plane. You gotta taxi and wait for takeoff. Once you get up in the air, it's a half hour, 40 minutes, it's pretty quick. But then you gotta land, get to the gate. Takes a while to get back off. But, by the time you go through all that nonsense, you could have driven there. Yeah, you could have driven there. Well, that's what happened yesterday. Derek drove him to Phoenix. He got his flight, and I understand he got on it. He got safe back to Illinois, which is great. And what great deal for Derek because he had a full day scheduled here at Mortgage One. Yeah, Mortgage One. He was booked for the whole day, so that's why you're not hearing him today at all. He's here in the building at Mortgage One. He's not coming in to see me, man. That guy's buried back in that office, uh, trying to catch up. He's got to get 2 days of work done today. So he was here, gosh, a little after 5 o'clock, and he'll be here probably till late tonight, catching up for all that fun he had at Midnight Oasis. So, all that sleep he lost, he's gonna have to pay the price. But I mentioned the airports because TSA right now is involved in this shutdown. TSA is. I don't know if that had anything to do with the Yuma Airport incident yesterday. I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me because they're having a hard time with some TSA agents. The Department of Homeland Security is is very open about it. They put it on their website. That like look your wait times and all that at an airport. If you're looking to fly, if you're looking to go somewhere, you better get there early. In fact, some of them are saying 3 hours now. Some of them are saying 4 hours. Out of Houston, Texas, on the website, it said travelers should plan to arrive 4 hours before the scheduled departure to allow time for TSA security screening. I guess they've got reduced screeners. They got reduced people. 4 hours at the airport. I don't know where you're flying to, but you can from Houston, Texas, 4 hours. Let me see. If you're waiting that long in there and all that, you might be able to drive to anywhere you're going to fly to in the United States. You're going to be tired, but if you add the 4 hours to the travel time to the airport, getting on the plane, the flight time of the plane, you may be able to drive South Carolina faster. You're gonna be yeah, you're gonna be cranky and tired, but you'll get there. But 3 hours. Now, this is according to the TSA websites. But here's something else interesting. They just shut down, the TSA website. Well, they didn't shut down. They're still up, but they're not renewing the information. They don't have anybody. They had to cut back staff so much that they can't keep the information up on how the wait times are. So if you're looking to travel and you go to the website to look for travel wait times, that wait time may be maybe be a few days old. I'm sure they put that on there. I didn't check it myself. I would think they'd have to. Well, it's caused massive delays all over the country. 3.5 hours is the average reported uh, wait times now for when they put them all together, and it's not going to be updated anymore. It's done. It's not going to be updated anymore until after this shutdown is over. The Democrats shutdown. That's uh, according to a TSA spokesperson. Staff managing the website and apps have been furloughed. Spokesperson said some individual airport tracks, security lines, wait times. We should point to them in that direction. Um, the airports, yeah, go to the airports. Don't go to TSA. Some airports do, is what he's saying. That they might be able to do it for you, but you're not going to get it from TSA. Now, there's some people that need special assistance on aircraft, handicapped, those kind of things, or children flying. Sometimes there's a TSA agent that'll be sponsored, fly with them, something. Well, it's still operating, but passengers need to fill out a form 72 hours prior to the flight. Any special assistance passenger, 72 hours. Now, if there is a problem and you've got an emergency and you didn't have time for the 72 hours, Give them a call, they say, 855-787-2227. It's the TSA Cares helpline. Maybe they're still answering it. I don't know, but they're shutting it down. Uh, they said it's going to get worse. Well, TSA agents are working without pay. And just like it happened over at YPG, a lot of guys um, couldn't get paid. They quit. They found another job. And it hurt YPG. YPG has a lot of specialized training that goes into what they do. And some of these guys who, spent years out there on the job and years in training and have all that institutional knowledge are gone. They left. I'm sure TSA is doing the same thing. A DHS a Deputy Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs, Lauren Biss, we will not be able to respond to inquiries until after appropriations are enacted. So if you have an inquiry, they'll respond to you when the Democrat shutdown's over. That's according to DHS. They put that in there, the Democrat shutdown, which is political, but it is interesting coming from DHS. And the delays are all because of this Democrat shutdown, which is interesting. Remember when Obama had shutdowns? When Obama had shutdowns, he definitely picked things to shut down that were stupid just to make the public angry. I'm talking like monuments and memorials and stuff. He said, "Well, we got to shut down the Grand Canyon. We don't have the money to operate it." The Grand Canyon was making money. Yeah, they charge admittance. Yeah, all the things that didn't really take any money to operate. The weirdest thing is they shut down the Martin Luther King Memorial in Washington, D.C., and the World War II Memorial. Now, none of them are buildings. They're not buildings. They're sidewalks, and you walk through the park, and it's a memorial. They hired guards and erected temporary barriers. They rented barriers to shut them down so that you couldn't walk through the park. That was just to make people angry. That was just to show, well, we're in shutdown and it's affecting you. I don't think that's what's going on with TSA because they didn't shut it down immediately. It's winding down as they're running out of money and as the TSA agents that are told you have to go to work. You're an essential job. Some of them are calling in sick and they're not coming in, so they don't have any choices. They're not going to let the planes fly if there's a danger involved. TSA says it's on the site right now. Information on this website may not be up to date. Transactions submitted via this website might not be processed, and we will not be able to respond to inquiries until after appropriations are enacted. So you're not going to get that anytime soon. They're going to answer you when they get money. The whole thing. Oh, my wife is telling me to give out my phone number, 928-941-0304. And a lot of the regular callers were listening on the radio. And the percentage of people that listen to call is very, very small. So it's it's okay. Phone line's open though. If you want to harass me, it's good. Uh, Let me see. Chris Moorhead, was nice of him to text me something about eating healthy. Thanks, Chris. And let me see. One of my listeners said television could be a concern. Yes, it was a concern. I had that yesterday. May want to check with a neurologist. I think it's good advice, possibly. It seemed to pass real quickly, but it scares me. I mean, I don't know if it did anything, but apparently it's not uncommon with the medical procedures that I've had. So
Carl?
we'll see. And we do have a caller. Carl, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing just fantastic today, enjoying your show.
Well, good. I appreciate you. And
Well, I thought I could have to go through withdrawals or something,
no.
but didn't.
and are you outside, Dave? I mean, outside was beautiful again this morning. I mean, it's
Oh,
nice.
it still is.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it still is. Yeah, my chair just fits me perfect. So
So you're in the front yard.
sure, underneath my big old mesquite tree.
Now I do ride by on the bicycle occasionally and wave to you, but I can't ride that bike for a little bit. I got to make sure I'm good and healed first.
Well, I like I said, I'd love to have a bicycle, but I'm worried about the crash. So
Well,
I've
had a few of them, but I don't want to do that right now.
No, heck no.
No.
You know, when I was a kid, I didn't mind the crash too much, but I don't know if how bad I'd hurt myself on a crash today.
Yeah.
And you know, you're talking about something that only goes 20 miles an hour. Well, you just watch when the bikes go by you. That's kept on a bicycle. That's clipping along pretty good.
Yeah, it is. And I do. I've got 20 miles an hour with no problem. I average about 20 miles an hour on that thing. But I drive it like I'm a kid. I drive it like I go as fast as I can go. Whatever I can pedal, that's what I do.
Well, we always used to say we drove it like we stole it. So
that's exactly right.
Same thing, in my opinion. So, but anyway, what my 2 cents for a day is going to be, we got the fair coming up, starts March 31st.
Okay.
And the trolley's going to be out there on 32nd Street gate. And we cannot get any petitions, but we are going to have the candidates out there talking to the people. So the people, when they go to the fair, stop by and talk to the candidates, because we need to keep Arizona red, and it's kind of important this time. So,
yeah.
So that's what we're going to be doing. Come meet the candidates, and I think we'll have some hats and stuff people can buy if they want for a donation.
You know, the bad thing about the candidates this time is that they used to get a lot of signatures out at the fair. You know, you'd see the candidates out there with a clipboard and get some signatures. Now the signature requirements have doubled this year in the city.
Yes.
In the city, you know, for city council and mayor, they've doubled, but the time to get them has been shortened, and it doesn't include the fair. Their signatures have to be in before the fair starts.
So, I know all the ones we have. We're getting them collected for the candidates. So,
well, I've got to get out and get some collected for. I mean, the mayor has to get 1,000, and Derek Egebert has to get 1,000, and both of them still need some. So if you can, you know, help them out. I got some petitions for Derek, so I'm going to knock on a few doors and get out there and get some signatures. But if we could get 20, 30 people each to get, 50 signatures, he'd be okay. But
yes. Well, the best signatures is down there at the block parties. It really does good. I know the mayor was doing very good down there at the block party.
Yeah, he was. He was down there.
But
I talked to him a little bit, then he shushed me away, because he's got to get signatures.
Well, what I did to him, and I don't know if he appreciated it or not, but I'm really proud of my mayor. He takes darn good care of us. And I was just, when people were coming up there, I was saying, well, I want you to meet my mayor. And I was sending him a lot of business. But, and then, they're mad at him for doing this, mad at him for doing that. But my God, we have a beautiful city.
And not every decision that it's made are you going to agree with or not. And that's what happens to our politicians over time. But at some point, he's going to make some decision. I can never forgive him for this, whatever that is. And then after a few years of collecting those kinds of things, it can be tougher. It can be. You can accumulate a lot of negatives. And it's not that you don't agree with somebody 95% of the time, but those 5% add up. And they say, let's try somebody new. But the mayor's staying popular. He's staying very good. So he's in good shape.
Well, I stand 105% with President Trump.
Oh, yeah.
And, people get mad at him too, but look what he's done for us. I don't have to worry about getting whacked with a missile from Iran.
Well,
I don't really worry about that because there was a possibility they could do it.
well, they didn't have the range of the missiles yet, but they were working on it.
Yeah,
But
the magic word was yet.
correct. But there were countries helping them, like Russia really was cozying up a lot to them because Russia needed help with the Ukraine war, so they were trading off stuff.
Yes.
And so that could have that was going to escalate it probably right there. But of course, that thing's been cut off. Russia cut it off because of bombing Iran. Russia cut that pack off altogether.
So here's the question I have: is how safe can we make those big tankers going through the straits there to keep some Iran, excuse me, from whacking them with a drone or something?
Well, they can escort them, but an escort is not a guarantee.
No, that's my problem.
Yeah, I mean, all the escorts are going to have the anti-drone ability, and they're going to have anti-ship, ability. They're going to have all that, but there's no guarantee they're going to catch everyone. Drones do get through, missiles do get through. So anyone's taking a risk, obviously, that's going through there because Iran is just acting nuts. They're attacking their friends right now. They're attacking everybody.
Yeah. Yes, and so what now? With the spies and the satellites and stuff like that.
Yeah.
when we can go and on our phone take a picture and look at our house.
Yeah.
What can the military do by looking at our house?
They have more capability than what we know.
Yeah,
they do.
And the real estate company, well, if they wanted to know what kind of roof you had, they just go print it up and look, and you got a good looking roof there, buddy.
They do.
Done to me.
And they do. I remember there was a Suzuki shop in town that got hit by lightning. And they were not doing well financially, so they suspected that it was a fraud, that they started their own fire in order to get out from under a business that they weren't handling very well. But they went back and somehow got pictures from a satellite that showed the lightning strike. That is just kind of amazing. That that stuff's available. I don't know if that was just fortunate that the satellite happened to be on them, or if they're really watching everything all the time. I have no idea, but I knew the owner at the time, and he was talking about. He said, "Man, I was so good that I got that picture that showed the lightning hitting the building. They were questioning whether or not it was sabotage because I was trying to get out from under it."
Yep, I know who you're talking about. He was a nice person. I always thought he was. So.
Yeah.
So now the other, go ahead.
No, so he ended up working for a shrimp farm. A guy I was working with down in Mexico. At the time, I was helping him with supplies and parts and stuff. Down in Mexico, he was making shrimp out in the Gulf, and he ended up going down there and working with him. That's kind of interesting.
Yes. Yeah. Well, when I was going to the Gulf a lot, that's what they were doing down there. Is they had big ponds out there, fenced off. So, but they were raising shrimp in there, and then they had them where the big buildings where they've been starting the transplants of the shrimp. They had a hell of an operation going down there.
That all got shut down. I think the Mexican government was looking to get a bigger piece of the pie.
Yes,
and
probably.
They changed charges, and they saw him that this guy's making a lot of money. And they shut him down. I mean, he ended up shutting it down because he couldn't afford to operate anymore. They raised the price of everything, and the rate of, I guess, labor rate changed. Everything changed, and he had to abandon the business. And after he made all that investment, after he did all those buildings and everything, he had to get out of there.
Yeah, somebody put a lot of money down there.
Yeah, he did.
Look what Mexico did. One day they just said, "Hey, that money isn't any good anymore. We just changed it." So
yeah, they killed it. I mean, the Mexican government killed it. Just when it was going well, they said, "If you're making this much money, you can pay us more."
Yeah,
and the business goes away.
But also they changed. They changed all their currency. They just put out brand new money, and the old money wasn't any good anymore.
Yeah.
And I've got I think it's a $10,000 peso in my my drive I took one time down there to buy diesel.
Yeah.
The guy just looked at me and said, "No way, no." so,
They
so I
just
had a piece of paper.
they just canceled it.
So,
I know.
yeah.
I appreciate the
So,
call, my friend.
I want to say one more thing.
Sure.
You know, what's nice about your show, if a person wanted to put him on if they had a Bluetooth TV, they could put you right on there. So,
Oh yeah, yeah. We're putting that out there, but of course we want to get the radio signal back. We had a core customer that listened to the radio, and it's like people at YPG, people doing drive time,
oh yeah,
that kind of stuff. So
but now you can do the same thing off your phone with your drive time. You just Bluetooth your car, truck, or whatever. So it does the same thing.
yeah,
But the radio station is awesome also.
yeah, and that's why. And Derek's working that negotiation out, and it's looking
Yeah.
it's looking positive so far. I'll feel it's positive when I see it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be happy when I see it. Until then,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
something they're working on, and I think Derek can really work that station into
Yeah.
being a lot more
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
us locally throughout the whole day, not just a
Oh
local
yeah.
show in the morning, but throughout
Yeah.
the whole day, and bring the features that the people would really like to see out here. Yeah, I mean, he's going to operate it for the community.
Well, that's the way it should be.
Right.
Have a good day, my friend.
You too, man. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was Carl, and I received a statement here from a listener. How can the Dems shut down the government when the GOP controls both chambers? It's a fair question. It is a fair question, and I guarantee you, this listener knows the answer. I mean, this is somebody that's writing a lot of provocative things, a lot of questions, great questions, and has some great knowledge. Um, the anytime the Dems have a minority status in the Senate. Everybody knows that. Majority's Republican. Is it 53? They have 53, 47, I think. And you would think they could pass anything. Well, that's just not the way the Senate works. The Senate has the filibuster thing where a minor party can say, we're not going to let this pass and hold it up. And it takes 60 votes, not 50, but 60 votes to undo that. And I'm not discounting the responsibility of the majority party to make deals and to work it through. I agree. But it seems like this partisan thing has gotten to the point of we don't care about the country as much as we care about power. And I'm talking about from the minority party that they just want to stop Trump from being successful. They want to stop Trump at all costs, undo Trump at anything. And I don't think they really look at what it does to the country. I don't think they do. But that's an opinion. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Russ.
Well, good morning, Mike.
Really miss your show. I'm glad we were able to see you.
Me too. And hopefully it comes back within a few months. I would hope so. We'll keep everybody informed on that. But the work to get this thing purchased and put into the hands of a Yuma owner is working rapidly, and just to be about matter of government agencies.
I heard something the other day, and if it's true, I hope you bring it to the Arizona Republican Party's attention. Have you ever heard of Cutter City?
No.
Cutter City is a 66,000 acre plot of land that the Muslims want to build south of Phoenix for the sole purpose of starting Sharia law.
I'm not familiar. I'm familiar with that happening in other parts of the country, other states, but I didn't know Phoenix was on the list.
If that's true, then it needs to be addressed. If it's not true, well, okay. But if it's true, it needs to be addressed. And that should not be happening in this state.
What do you think can be done about it? What would you envision that could happen to make this not happen, not go forward?
Well, OG was talking about we have a law in place that says that communism is illegal in this country.
Right.
That law is active.
Right.
So the question is, how is communism on the ticket to be voted for?
Well, it can always be
I
voted.
think,
I mean, you can call yourself communist and vote for it. That's up to the will of the people, I guess. But I don't
but
know about,
it's
I don't know about passing ordinances and laws that would be communist in nature. I don't know. That's a good question.
um, sheer law should be a law on the books that is counter to the Constitution, and it should be illegal.
Well,
That's the
and I understand that sentiment, and it is scary. And there's a lot of things within Sharia law that would be completely, unacceptable completely. But like, there's probably in there things like like the Ten Commandment type stuff, like "Thou shalt not kill." Is that legal in the United States? Yeah, that's exactly right. And you could say, well, the murder law is a Christian law, and that's not allowed. It is,
well,
it is, and but it's something that is also within the confines of us making law. That is murder is a crime.
probably to answer the question about the person you just commented on about how the government can be closed down and we have a majority of Republicans in the House and Senate.
Right.
The answer to that question is this country is divided not by Republicans and Democrats. This country is divided by people who hate this country and people who love this country. And it is time that these two labels need to be addressed as such. Because that's the only reason why Thune is getting away with what he's getting away with. Because
I'm mad about that. Yeah,
go ahead.
I'm mad about the whole Thune thing. I mean, I'm just discouraged that he's not on board.
It is not discouraging if we eliminate those two labels, Democrat and Republican, because then if you eliminate those two labels, we know who we're talking about. We know what side we're talking about. Because the Republic.
I understand your sentiment. Yeah, I do understand it, but it's not that simple because it's all subjective. I mean, you could say you can point out any position and say, is that good for the country or bad for the country? And you're going to get a mixed bag. You're going to get a lot of people say, well, socialism, a socialistic program like that's very good because we'd get free transportation, and you get a ton of people to sign on to it. Now, I would agree with you that it's horrible in most cases because it's going to burden all the taxpayers to unrealistically, and we're going to be paying for everyone's transportation, and we become no incentive to earn our own cash. No incentives.
Right now, this specific argument that we're making you right now between us, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You can't have this argument without knowing specifically the differences between free markets and socialism.
I think you hit on something there, and that's an education part of it. And the education part of it, I think a lot of people vote for these things because they don't understand what it's going to do to us long term. I mean, the people in Venezuela voted in Chavez, not understanding what they were getting.
Did they really vote for Chavez, or was that election manipulated?
I don't really know the answer to that, but I got the impression he was voted in originally, and then afterwards, as he got control of the government, he designed rules and regulations and laws that would make it impossible to take him out. And that's typical.
But let's get back to the socialism and free markets thing. Okay. Socialism is against the Constitution. It is not compatible with the Constitution. So it should not exist in this country at all. You can't say the fact that we have a regulation for the depth of asphalt for a highway road and the width of a lane to be uniform. That's not socialism. That's just practical.
Agreed.
So to say, to say all the things that socialism is promising, and it can't be under this constitution, under a free market society. It needs to be outlawed. This is not Rush Limbaugh a long time ago talked about the Statue of Liberty and the fallacy of what that statement that was at the base of it.
Oh, the bring me your
It wasn't
poor and
yes, that wasn't added until many years later.
right. It's on
And
the
so
pedestal. It's not on the statue. It's on the pedestal. Yeah.
Yes, but that wasn't added until many years later. And the problem with immigration in this country is it is not an absolute. We are not a country of immigrants. We are a country of people who came and have a common allegiance to the Constitution. The Constitution made this country, not people. People who follow the Constitution make this country. Socialism and Islam is not compatible with the Constitution, and we need to start acting on that, because if that city gets a stronghold, you already have socialism that was voted for in the 7th district. You already have socialism that was voted for in New York, and that's a dangerous road.
No, you're right. They voted a socialistic Democrat in there, and legally that's compatible with our country. We can call ourselves socialist and be voted in. Now, when it comes to passing laws, like Mandani wants to do in passing laws, he's got restrictions. He's got restrictions according to the will of the people, and the will of the people still count. He hasn't been able to take that over. In a true socialistic country, you've got to own it. You can't vote on it. Right now, he can't get the transportation away because the state won't let him. He can't just push through a lot of the programs he wants to do because the state won't let him. Same with these Sharia law cities, like the one in Texas. You know, they put a neighborhood together where it's Sharia law, but legally they cannot pass any law in there that's going to be non-constitutional. You can't pass a Sharia law, a specific law. I mean, you could say, yeah, we're following Sharia in our neighborhood, but you can't pass any law to that effect that's in conflict.
Well, I hope that Andy Biggs addresses that.
I hope so too.
And
I mean,
I hope-
I think it needs to be talked about, Mike. I think you're great to talk about.
Yes, it needs to be talked about at least.
Yeah.
And I hope Andy Biggs campaigns on putting numerous oil refineries in this state to make this state independent of California.
I hope you're right, and I hope we have one in Yuma County.
Yes, and I hope he campaigns on the water desalination plants.
Oh,
because this state is running out of potable water.
We are, and we're in real danger again this year. I mean, this year it's going down even more. Lake Mead looks like we just didn't have the winter that we needed. We didn't have the rainfall we needed. It was too warm. While the East Coast was freezing, we were too warm, and we're not going to have the water that we need, and it's going to probably put in new restrictions. So that's a scary thought, and we're not doing it because it takes too many years to do it. But we should have started 20 years ago. We've been screaming for 20 years. This is coming.
We had 16 years of Republican governors.
Yeah.
It never crossed their mind.
I agree with you. It just
But
didn't.
then you had Janet Napolitano put that stupid rail in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Which is money that could have been used for at least one refinery that would have been in place today, and we wouldn't be worried about California.
Yeah, but Gavin Newsom liked it.
Yeah,
He liked it so much he adopted rail for his place. But he hasn't built any. He's just soaked up the money for it. That's all.
I'll tell you what's funny though. If Cutter City does get the go ahead south of Phoenix, there's no water south of Phoenix.
Well, they've already been shutting down building in south of Phoenix because they can't prove a water supply that's consistent. That's already starting to happen, and with this Lake Mead still hitting lows, that's not going to change. So there's a lot of place now in Buckeye that people wanted to be building on that they couldn't get the permits for because of water.
Well, that's all I have to say.
I
I
appreciate
hope you
it.
pass that on
Thank
to
you.
the people in the Republican Party at the decision making process. But it's good to hear your voice. Have a good day.
Appreciate it. Bye bye. And good to hear his call and good comments. The Statue of Liberty, I had to look it up. And the name of the poem that's on the pedestal is The New Colossus, written by Emma Lazarus. And Emma Lazarus wrote it in 1883 for the sole purpose of raising funds for the pedestal. See, France gifted us the statue. We had to find a place to put it. Like, where we're going to put the statue, and they picked out a location, but of course you can't just put it on the dirt. They wanted to build a pedestal, and that pedestal is obviously a building and everything else. It's, in fact, if you haven't visited, you should. But they raised the money for the pedestal, and they put it on a bronze plaque inside the monument in 1903, where it welcomes immigrants with the lines, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free." I think it's a great poem. I like it. I think it's been misinterpreted that we're only looking for people that can't contribute to our community. That's crazy. Now we're looking for people that are looking for a place to grow, to prosper, to invest, to be part of these communities, not just come in. I'm going to come in tired and poor. Take care of me. That's never been it. If you ever go out to Ellis Island and take the tour and look at it, you'll realize real quickly a lot of people that came into Ellis Island back when that was open and busy, they would get a medical inspection. They'd not pass muster, get right back on the boat and go home. Yeah, we want the poor, and give me your tired, your poor. And a lot of times people are tired and poor because they don't get opportunity. There's been so many people that have come to this country, so many great stories of people that come to this country. And you may even, you can find people who have come to this country and just done wonderful things, great contributors to their families, to themselves, and to the community. It goes on all the time. But more and more, we're getting people in this country that are flooding, and Joe Biden particularly, and flooding this country, looking for a handout. And unfortunately, we had way too many of those. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Good morning. This is Sandy.
Well, good morning, Sandy.
Well, you're sounding good.
Well, thank you. I feel good today. I hope I stay that way.
Good.
Yeah.
I wanted to get my 2 cents in. I don't totally understand why the radio station decided to pull the plug. But what I'd like to see is not just totally communicative all day long through the night. I'd still like to see at least the 3 hours of the Vince Show, Hannity, and Glenn Beck, because that gives a lot of information to people that listen to the radio that you might not get in just a community organized radio station.
I completely
so I thought I'd put my 2 cents in or whatever.
I completely agree with you. And what I think the complexion is going to look like, there'll be more features that are local, not that we're going to do away with those national broadcasts, and I would want to keep a lot of those. But we would do like local news on the news breaks and all that, and do more opportunities for local programming. But it wouldn't be solely
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Except that I would suggest monitoring. I don't know how you do it, because if people aren't interested in a local program, that's not going to help your radio station.
Without question.
Maybe you need to wait a while, let it develop. But not everybody can do a talk show, as the liberals have shown people. Every time they try to do something, opposite like Rush Limbaugh, they crashed.
Yeah.
So not everybody can do what you do.
There's a lot of plans right now.
That's just the way it is.
But there's no plans on any specific person that would come in and do a show. I think right now it's absorb it as it is, and then make changes as the public needs it and whatever. And the top of the hour of the news,
Okay.
there's talk of making that a local, consistent, real news from this station, and not incorporating Fox News, which is always interesting. It's always good, but it would be nice to have more of a contact that incorporates local news along with some.
I like that idea, and at least I can tell you, Fox is better than when I hear like CBS radio or whatever other radios news.
Yeah,
because
some of them suck.
You can pay it. You can listen to the two of them, and I know there's more than just two, but you can listen to them and go, "Oh my gosh!" People hearing the CBS is just total propaganda.
Correct.
And anyway, I'm sorry that they pulled the plug at all, because it's easier for me to listen on the radio. I know that sounds weird, but
sure.
And I don't have internet, so it steals from my cell phone. So I sometimes, I'm not trying to ignore you, but sometimes it's like, okay, battery loss enough, shut her down.
I
hate that.
I don't blame you.
I never had to worry about that with the radio.
Yeah.
I could turn the radio up super loud, be in different rooms. And anyway, I just thought I'd let you know that.
Well, thank you. And we're going to get it.
I really like what President Trump's doing. I just hope things get better and better and better.
Man, we've got to take care of this next elections, Andy, to make that happen. We've got to make sure. Otherwise, it's a battle royale, and to get anything through is going to be tough, because it's going to be.
That's why I would just like to go ahead and get rid of the filibuster.
Well, there's a lot of that talk. It's not going to happen with Thune, obviously.
Well, the Save America Act, Senator John Kennedy has said, maybe they could do that through reconciliation, but the others don't want to do that. So it's almost like our side doesn't want to get voting to be safer, and we need voting to be safer. I could be wrong, but I just feel like California and Oregon and Washington, since there's so much with ballots, and in California they can do that where they come around and pick them up ballots. I forgot what that's called.
Harvesting.
Harvesting ballots. And I just think it makes the voting unsafe. I just think there's too much manipulation. And I'm disappointed that we can't, on our side, understand that this needs to be done. I think while you were gone, they had a day where in the Senate, they brought in their pets. And a lot of people were upset about that because they weren't doing anything. We just want to bring in our pets so that we can develop a community in the Senate. And I'm going like, God dang it, get to work.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
Anyway.
Yeah.
It makes people want to just cry. And then when you see what's happening at the airports, and yet the Democrats, they don't want to do anything about it. Well, why don't the Republicans could push it by even doing this talking filibuster thing? And I haven't seen that being done yet either.
No, and we're like 1 or 2 votes away from it. It's like so close we can see it. And I don't know what it's going to take to do it. To get, I don't even know who the holdouts are. What is it? Collins or something? Maybe Murkowski.
Probably Rand Paul.
Yeah,
Collins, Murkowski.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 that I think of immediately.
Yeah.
And they're it's too bad they're like that, and too bad they don't understand.
I know.
Or maybe the people they represent don't understand. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, and doing the standing filibuster isn't a change of the rules. That is the rule.
Correct. That's the way it was supposed to work, and
right.
McConnell and somebody else made a deal to stop doing that.
Well,
Like, oh, we don't want to waste our time by actually discussing and debating. I know they didn't say that,
no. What
but that's what it looks like.
they all want to go home for dinner. They all want to get out of there.
Right.
So if you have unlimited speech, if you have unlimited, and somebody decides to stop to talk for 48 hours straight, then you have to stay there. So they said, look, this is bad for us. We need to get our sleep. Yeah, it's bad for us. So get to work and get it solved. And that was the
Right.
whole idea. Okay, it's punishing. It's terrible. Well, if you don't want to be get another job or get to work and get it solved.
When the previous shutdown, the Democrats cost the economy. The fourth quarter
yeah.
didn't do as well.
Right.
And I'm tired of this kind of behavior. And I think our side needs to say, all right, we're getting rid of this. We're going to get things done. We're going to get out there and get people to vote for us. And we're going to keep running this place efficiently and running it the right way. I just wish they had that mindset. That's what I like about Trump. He's always trying to figure out a way to get things done. I think they're always trying to take the easy way out.
Yeah.
And the Democrats are the worst. I just wish more and more people would just vote Republican and just to heck with the Democrat Party, because they've gone crazy. So at least the politicians have.
They have. And a lot of your politician commentaries, even from the left, are saying so. More and more. You're getting more and more of them coming forward. Bill Maher and James Carville even, that are coming up saying, you guys are nuts.
Well, they are. And if you don't recognize it, then perhaps you have a similar mental issue. I'm talking about their supporters.
Well, it's Trump.
And it's funny, I mentioned hypnotism a while ago, and I see that Hannity's talking about people being hypnotized. He read it somewhere, though. I can't remember who brought it, which group of people brought it up, but
yeah,
I thought that was kind of interesting. I started thinking, I think these people that are crazy have been hypnotized to be crazy.
Well, propagandized and hypnotized, I think, kind of close, where you just keep hearing the same message over and over again until it starts becoming reality, even if it's far-fetched.
That's why, to get back to my initial point, I'd like these national shows on, because I think the national shows help the community too. Even though you may not like a portion of their shows, some people will say Hannity interrupts too much and this, but at least he has some really good guests on, and he's learning to keep his mouth shut a little bit more and let the guests talk. And so
Hannity's not my.
I like, I just like the shows.
Sure.
Because I get a lot of information and know what's going on. Besides looking at my phone.
Hannity's not my favorite, but he's the most popular in the country for a reason, and that is he resonates with people. So I agree with you.
Well, and he went from a half an hour of letting callers call in to an hour.
Okay.
It's 2 different half hours where he has callers calling in. So I think that was a smart move on his part. And he's been around the longest now, since Rush Limbaugh's not alive anymore.
Yeah, if Rush was alive, he'd still be number 2.
There's issues I have with Glenn Beck. I have issues with all of them, but what I do is I just listen, and I can agree or disagree, but I can tell you're getting a lot of good information from them that you do not get from the media, which I can't even really watch anymore. I just can't stand the news, even the local news. A lot of what they do is they just repeat, like they must go to, like if they're CBS, to the CBS affiliate, and they just repeat what they said. NBC must do the same.
The most outrageous thing right now that just happened was in New York City. We had an 18-year-old and 19-year-old throw literal bombs that were made with a material that only professional terrorists use, threw a bomb into a crowd in New York City, and the press handled it that there was a right-wing radical that caused a problem. They're not talking about the bomb.
Right.
It's just amazing. Even Mandani comes out and never mentioned the guys yelling Ali Akbar throwing a lit bomb.
They're always trying to blame it on our side.
Yeah.
And I got to say, there's not a lot on our side that does any of that kind of stuff. But they're always trying to blame our side, or they're trying to say, well, these two are just teenagers. You know, like it's a teenager prank or something.
They're military age.
But
The
they're
military
always
age.
trying to blame our side, and it's not us.
Yeah. It's
You know?
it's kind of crazy. I appreciate the call.
It is crazy. That's
Yeah, it is.
President Trump came up with a good word. They are crazy.
But it's dangerous at the same time. It's dangerous because we got people buying into it and that don't get the truth ever.
Well, that's why I want these conservative shows on.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem to matter which national, regular, other than say like a Fox or a Newsmax or some of the others that are smaller like OAN.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that are on everybody's TV, because that's the way it started, has something to do with the emergency signals. ABC, NBC, and CBS, everybody gets that. Well, they're definitely anti-Republican. They're definitely anti-Trump. But they're also anti-Republican. People need to understand that, it's just Trump. No, you watch any of those shows, and I just can't, like I say, I can't stand them, so I don't watch them. My husband does a better job of watching and not letting it bother him than I do.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm glad you have a show. I want to see it back on the radio. I'd like to see those other shows, and I'm mad that the owner pulled the plug.
I'm
right
with you.
I want to make sure that owner hears me say that. I am mad that you did that because you deprived us of a great radio station. And
with 80,
I really
80 years.
liked. Yeah. I can't believe they've got it unplugged, because somebody was saying if you leave it unplugged for a long time, I don't know exactly what the repercussions are, but they were saying, that's not good. It's going to cause problems for that radio station.
Yeah, the FCC will
Anyway,
fine
I'm
you.
mad at them. If they're a local person, I hope you're hearing me say this. I'm mad at you, whoever you are.
They're not local. I appreciate the call.
All right, bye.
Thank you, man. Bye-bye. That was Sandy. I need to call Gene Dalby. I think he's got some bicycle news, maybe. I don't know.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Gene. I got you on the air. How are you, sir?
On the air? What did I do?
You're on social media. You're not on the air.
Oh,
the air has been canceled, as you know. AM 560.
I heard, yeah.
They shut the doors, but we're still doing the show every day. We're still doing it on Facebook, on YouTube, on X, and on another television station until we get until we get it reactivated. And that's the goal, and that's what we're working on right now, is getting that AM 560 reactivated.
That's good. Yuma wouldn't be the same without it, so I hope it comes back.
Yeah, we've had it for 80 years here.
I know, long time, too long.
Absolutely.
And I was calling you to see how you were enjoying your so-called vacation.
Well, I wish it was a vacation, Gene. No,
not so much.
No, not so much. It's
sure.
I'm ready to get back to work. In fact, I tried hard yesterday. I was going to put in a 10-hour day and go to the gym, and I had my body told me no. I got a little lightheaded, and I got a little bit of tunnel vision for a minute, and it went away. And I went and saw a doctor, made sure everything was okay. But he's when I told him my schedule, he said, "Go home and throw some cold water in your face and take a rest."
Yeah. Well, you can only push so hard so long.
Yeah.
And when you get to the golden years, whatever that means, I'm not sure, but I think there's a lie going around about something like that. But it's always a good idea to multiply the rest period. It's
right.
It's important. It's not if you can't do what you used to do, your muscles don't do what they used to do. The memory of the muscles is still there, but it just can't quite carry the same load that it used to.
But I'm going to keep as much as I can for as long as I can. And
yeah.
And I know we got
but be careful.
We got a bike ride coming up next week, and I'm plenty ready for that. I'm all done with all my medical procedures, and
excellent.
I'm all healed up. So
you're cleared to go, huh?
Oh yeah.
That's good.
I'm definitely.
I think it's going to really be a fun time because we'll have the Friday get together and all the stuff going on and what have you, and the night bike ride and the giveaways of some bicycles and stuff like that. I think that that'll be fun. And then Saturday with the bike ride, that's our focus, and get everybody out there, get them going. And it seems to me like it's going to be warmer than we had anticipated, but that's life in a big city, I guess.
And it's going to be Saturday the 21st. And
It's the bike ride. Yeah,
that's the bike ride. And Friday,
what we call them,
yeah,
bike bash.
And then the Friday before, of course, is a get together Friday evening. That's
Right.
all out in Welton. But if you have any questions, call Gene Dalby directly, 928
Yes,
920-8482. See, I even got that.
yes, sir.
And you're also
Thank
on
you.
you can make reservations or get a ticket on a website. What's that website?
tourdefields.org.
Yeah. Tour D Fields, defields.org.
And
And
it's has all the information there that you need, the routes and what have you. And like I said, it'll be a fun time. I think that everybody will be out there to enjoy the time and experience Welton a little more than they may have in the past. But
And,
a lot
and,
of history out there.
and this is your 8th one, right?
This would be 7th.
7th one.
We're already anticipating 8. But,
Okay, well,
we're learning as we're going for the next year.
All right. But it's grown and you found a great venue. Welton's my favorite.
Right.
Just a
Very
a
nice.
wonderful ride. Real wonderful. Not a lot of traffic, and the residents love
Yeah.
us.
Yes, they do. The farmers do too, and I'm
Right.
impressed with that part of it. You know, they know the benefit of being able to show the crops in the fields. And you know, I was out there just yesterday, and they're still growing. So I'm looking forward to real nice pictures of things growing in the field. So people who haven't seen it that way before will get an appreciation for the effort that goes into getting it from a seed to the lettuce on the table.
Absolutely. Well, sir, I
God
appreciate
bless you, man. I appreciate your time.
thank you. You take care, man. Bye-bye.
I will. Bye.
And that's Gene Dalby. It's been riding bikes for quite a long time and still collects them. If you have a bicycle that's in your garage that has gathered a lot of spider webs and you think, I'm really not going to ride that again, it needs tires and I'll just throw it away or something. Don't throw it away. Don't. In fact, if you throw it away, you might go through the trouble of Gene having to go down and get it from the dumpster. And they hold them for him at a lot of the refuge places. They will hold a bicycle for him to pick it up. It's better just to call him. He'll just come pick it up for you. You know, that way you don't have to load it up and take it to the dump. He'll come get it because he even if the whole bicycle can't be refurbished, he needs the parts. They recycle, reuse, redo all of it. And most likely, if the bike isn't destroyed, they can put new rubber on it, oil it up, take it apart, grease it, put it all back together, and put it back out on the road and make sure they put it in the hands of somebody. And on the weekend, the next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend, starting the 20th, that Tour de Fields will be in Welton. And it was heavily attended, and the attendance is growing, but it's such a great location. It should be well. I've got another phone call. You're on the air.
Hey, Russ, it's Mike again.
Hey, Mike.
Did you see a couple weeks ago, or maybe last week, Nancy Mace tried to make a bill to expose all of Congress who was had sexual money. I guess there was some fund that they would go to when they got into trouble sexually. You hear about that?
I didn't hear about it. I know about the fund, and I know what goes on with that. In fact, Grijalva used it.
Well, here we go again. You have that's a pretty important thing that happened with this, and Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck, and O'Reilly never said anything about it. What it was that she wanted to expose who paid into that fund. And of course, they voted. They had a vote. They actually had a vote. And they had people who voted against it and people who voted for it.
Correct.
Now, when you're listening to Sandy, there you have it right there. Because I don't know how stupid these people are. Because voting against it inadvertently showed that there's something wrong with you. And it was something like only 65 people in Congress voted to expose it. The rest of Congress, they wanted to stop it.
Well, they referred it to the ethics committee, is what they did. They put it to the ethics committee, right?
But the thing about it is they have the list. I have the list.
Yep.
Because I went through it. I went through the. You go to the website to see who's writing bills and what bills are being voted on, and all of the Democrats who want the Epstein file to be exposed all voted against it.
I didn't look at the actual breakdown. That's
you
interesting.
should.
That's interesting.
You can find the list, and I was very disappointed. Andy Biggs voted against it. I mean, voted for it.
To release it.
So I was happy about. Yes, I was happy about that, but I was surprised Gosar didn't.
Well,
and then there's I think another Arizona Republican voted against it also, but all of the people, what's his name is that big mouth Raskin, Ocasio-Cortez, Pelosi, all the Somali women, what they call the team or something, Moskowitz, that loudmouth rat. All of these people voted right there. That shows you that they're culpable on this.
Well,
but they're the loudest ones trying to pin this Epstein thing on Trump in terms of calling him a pedophile.
I would vote to disclose the names. I would vote. I understand why.
I would hope that. Yes,
I understand why some arguments that they shouldn't. But I think it's a weak argument that innocent people may get exposed or something.
The argument, and it's a very weak argument because if I had a daughter, I'd be in prison. I mean, anybody touched my daughter, I would be a crazy man.
Yeah.
I mean, I would, before she turned 14, I'd be out in the desert. I'd probably have a dozen holes dug. But anyway, that's the extreme. These people are all sexual rats. And to have that. Go ahead.
No, there's going to be some that are, but believe me, it is a fact. There have been people that have weaponized the opportunity to claim sexual harassment where it didn't exist. And they're going, and that's what they're pivoting on. But I don't care about that either. I want that exposed too, even if that happens, and that does happen. And there's been people take advantage of that, and I think that's what happened to Don Shooter. I mean, Don Shooter deserved, the recognition of being a loudmouth. He was. I love the guy, and he was obscene at times. He did do those kinds of things at times, but he never did it. He never did what he was accused of. But he had the image of doing it. And that killed him. But that stuff needs to be exposed. I'm okay with exposing it at all. I'm with you on it. But I understand what they're saying, but it's a weak argument, and I would argue against it.
But if you look at that list, I think that list tells you that there is not because in that 65, half of them were Democrats and half of them were Republicans.
Oh yeah, so, it can happen on both sides of the aisle. And Grijalva, it cost, I think it was $50,000 they had to pay to shut a girl up who claimed sexual harassment, and it was paid for by the U.S. tax dollars. That's who pays for it. And believe me, representatives and stuff, they're going to get attacked and stuff like that to happen. And we do need to pay for the problems they incur that have to do with their jobs. Now, sexual harassment's not necessarily one of their jobs. And if they're falsely accused and targeted and set up, then there should be some assistance. But I think in most cases, this is just a cover up.
You know, in most cases, you say
Yeah.
it comes down to the elevator scenario at 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, if you get on that elevator at 3 o'clock in the morning, dressed as a hooker, you know, you got, you know, you probably deserve what's coming at you. But the person who is doing that to you doesn't need to look at a woman in a mini skirt thinking that that's fair game either.
Correct.
They are the weakest. The premise of America masculinity is to protect our women.
Correct. I completely
And,
agree. I think real men protect women. Period.
Correct. And I think that, you know, you shouldn't be in certain places. You shouldn't be.
Yep.
You shouldn't be doing certain things. And you know what? If you get caught up in that gray area, well, maybe you shouldn't have been there in the first place. That's the same thing like Bill O'Reilly. You know, everybody talks about Bill. You know, that guy is a ham.
Yeah.
And he was a womanizer. And he was a
he got
was a
accused of that.
conservative.
Yeah.
He was a conservative that the Democrats were gunning for, and they got him because he was too stupid to know that the woman that he was doing that with was a Democrat.
I agree with you. I agree. And
So,
and that's what happened
if
to
he-
Don Shooter. Don Shooter really didn't
Right.
try to get a girl to go to his room and all the stuff he was accused of, but he definitely was flirtatious and definitely was open about it. And you know
Right.
what? That's gonna nail you at some point. It just is.
And you know, that's what I was Hillsdale College. What's his name who runs at Hillsdale College?
Don't know.
Aaron. Aaron is his last name. Wrote a book about Winston Churchill. And the book is called The Statesman. And you know, you sit there and you differentiate between a politician and a statesman. And a politician has gotten a bad, just that name connotes a rat. When really it shouldn't. Because when you look at the chamber and you look at that's supposed to be our best. We're supposed to be putting our best forward for that. And unfortunately, I think it's voter fraud that has manipulated the fact that we have all of this junk that's in those positions leading us. But there's a difference between a statesman and a politician. And that Marco Rubio, when he gave that speech in front of that security group, that was he's in that class of a statesman.
He did himself a lot of favors. Phenomenal.
Oh my God!
Phenomenal.
Yes, that was phenomenal.
And I want to make
what I'm saying is, what
I want to make one other comment on the stuff you're talking about you know, bad things can happen. You know, Epstein Island is known for probably blackmailing, you know, well-to-do business guys that went to Epstein Island to do things that they shouldn't be doing, and then get blackmailed for it. But you realize the way that the Congress is written right now in the rules, if you did that, that cover-up money would be paid for by tax dollars.
And that's wrong.
You know, and that's just the way it is. You say, well, I'm being blackmailed. Yeah, you're being blackmailed because you went out somewhere and did something you shouldn't have done. Yeah.
Let me just say this about that. The mafia, that's what they did. That's how they got power.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're looking and who's the weakest link? And they go after the weakest link.
Sure.
Which means that if you didn't keep going to these places, you wouldn't have been targeted.
Right.
But here's the thing: a politician that the mafia targeted for sexual problems. A man has a daughter, and the daughter will be mad at the father for going to a prostitute. And that was the old ways with the mafia. With this Epstein thing, Your daughter's never going to excuse you if you are doing that to infants. If you're doing that with adrenochrome, if you're doing that, you're never going to be forgiven. And if you go to a place where you know that exists, well, you know what? You're too stupid to be a politician then.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that. I mean, that's something you can't walk away from. You shouldn't be able
And
to.
so, because of the nature of what America has become, of course, that is how an Epstein gets there.
Yeah.
And again, Epstein is supposedly not even is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what that stuff is all about.
I hope you're wrong. You could be true, but I don't know. I hope you're wrong. I hate to think that our country's filled with that, but it could be.
And that's where you and I depart, because I'm not wrong, and we need to ferret that out. And there's only one way to ferret that out.
Hey.
If the laws aren't going to work, then something needs to be done about that.
I'm all for you for ferreting it out. I want to be Pollyanna and not believe it, but doesn't mean I wouldn't look for it. I would.
So when you look at with these loudmouth rats like Raskin and Moskowitz, did you ever hear Moskowitz? Did you ever hear the mouth on that Moskowitz?
Yeah.
And what's her name? Jasmine Crockett.
Oh, horrible.
These are supposed, there's a decorum in there, Russ.
Yeah.
When you have young, you want to aspire to be something like that. There's a decorum, and they act like little children.
Yeah.
And what they're doing, and what the demands they're trying to pin on Trump with Epstein Island, these people voted against disclosure. Think about that.
Yeah, I would have voted for it. I would. And I think it needs to be said. Even if it's a setup, that should be disclosed too, so that we know what's going on.
But here's the other thing, Russ. That list is there.
Yeah.
I have yet to hear O'Reilly. I have yet to hear Beck. I have yet to hear Hannity. And they have a bigger voice than you do.
Oh gosh. Yes.
Okay, so but I have yet to hear them use that against these people who are attacking Trump on this Epstein thing.
Yeah.
And that's a shame, because that's great news. That is great news. That should be pushed down their throat every time they open their mouths.
Right.
About that. And they are doing it. They are not giving us that service.
Right. Well, hopefully Mays won't let it die. She won't. She's pretty vocal about it. And it gets more and more traction in the long run.
There's a game. It's a drinking game. It's called Hannity. And what you do is you take a shot of whiskey every time Hannity says I or me.
Okay.
And generally you're drunk within the first 15 minutes.
I can't drink that much, my friend.
You have a good day, sir.
You too. Bye-bye. Yeah, I'm not going to go through that. Whatever. Interesting. And I have not brought that up at all. I mean, I looked at it in passing. I'm well aware of Grijalva's situation. We talked a lot about that at the time, that taxpayers paid for his legal fees or whatever it cost him for that accusation. He was an employee that was accused him of being drunk and making sexual advances and stuff. And they paid for it. And I understand that. Powerful people can be attacked. Look how many times Trump has been attacked. Yeah, some of it's just crap. It's just crazy. And possibly they should pay for that. I mean, the institutions should pay for that, because that's part of the job of being that heavily exposed, being that popular. But maybe Grijalva pushed it. Maybe he was having problems. Maybe he was drinking. I mean, I've heard, I don't want to talk ill. I mean, he's not here to defend himself. But I've heard it from a couple sources that he had a tendency to do that. I don't know about the sexual advances. I don't have any knowledge, but it should always be. But we should always know what the tax dollars are going for. It should be just a lot more transparency, and that's what that vote was about, was transparency. And there's such a big push. Well, we got to protect the innocent. Now, how many are protecting Donald Trump from some of the ridiculous lawsuits, ridiculous stuff? And all the press does is just continue to pressure. You're not going after him hard enough. I can't believe I've been on this 2 hours so far, but I do need. I'm going to take a break. It's been 2 hours, but of course, it's something I love doing. I will be back. Let me see. I got. Yeah, I'll be back right after. Just give me a few minutes. Oh, I'm gonna take a break. AM 56. No, it's not. It's just Mortgage One Studio. All right, I'm back with you. Mortgage One Studios. We're still here. It's 8:07. Uh, Time flies. Thanks for all the callers. The phone number is 928-941-0304. I forced myself to stop and think because I am so programmed to give out the prior phone number that it's just automatic. Like when I sign off, I want to say AM 560 because it's just been grilled into me for so long that I want to. I mentioned James Carville a little while ago. I'm going to mention him again. He does a podcast. I really like James Carville. I used to. I mean, he's becoming a little crazy. He does a podcast. It's called James Carville Explains Podcast. He's nuts, profanity laced, over the top. I mean, he's always been hilarious. He's always had great stories. I disagree with him hugely on his politics, on the things he stands for, but he's always been entertaining. So I'll turn it on. Much like AOC at times are entertaining or Crockett's entertaining because it's just mind blowing ridiculous. He goes on a tirade. Just the other day, he says, "I got Trump derangement syndrome." That's how he starts. I've got Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, you got to appreciate his honesty. You got to appreciate he comes right forward. He said, "I hate the mother blank." And you know what? I don't want to get rid of it. I don't want to get better. I want to get worse. I want to hate him more. That's his start. He wants to hate more. and something that's kind of obscene. He starts bringing God into it. He says, I pray to God in heaven, God, reign of the righteous reign of Trump derangement syndrome on me. Pray for me, Lord. I'm your vessel on this earth. Pray for the people that listen to this. We want more. We want to hate the son of a blank so much that we can't see straight. Okay, he's really stepped over the line. He's asking God for more hate. This is a guy that's lost it. And I don't know that that's a prayer that's welcomed. This is obscene. And he goes on, he says, I don't just have it, man. I want it. I don't want to get better. I want it to get worse. I want to invoke the name of Providence, the name of the Almighty. He who rules the world, the King of all of us, the King of Kings. I want his blessing. I want to have a vision tonight when I'm sleeping. I want the Lord to appear to me and say, James, you are my humble servant. You are executing thy will on this earth. And I want to tell you, all the friends and all the people that listen to your YouTube or whatever, the blank we got here, Paulicorn. So we've prayed together tonight. We'll pray together more. But one thing we're not going to do, we're not going to blanking back off. Not anytime ever. We're not going to back off. And you fat blank Trump, you understand that? You understand how many blanking people in this country agree with me and are praying to have the strength to even hate you more than they hate you now. And I know you think you can't, but I'm telling you, if you work hard enough at it, you can hate him even more. James Carville, according to this is Davis Engel that wrote this. Dave Carville is a stone cold loser who clearly suffers from a severe and debilitating case of Trump derangement syndrome that has rotted his peanut-sized brain. It's a White House spokesman, Davis Engel. Carville also unloaded on the president before the State of the Union address. I didn't catch that one. He says, you are the most unpopular president at this point in your term that we've ever had. And of course, that's just flat out ridiculous lies. And he says, they don't like you. You understand that? They don't like you. You don't like the way you smell and the way you look. We don't like your fat stomach. They don't like your stupid comb over. Politics is a tough sport. It's contact sport and all that. This is over the top. I don't know what this is. This isn't politics. And to pray openly that you wish more hate upon you. I don't know where he goes to church, but somebody in that facility needs to have a talk with him on what is he trying to do. But this is evil. This is demonic stuff. I share it with you just to let you know what we're up against. I mean, we have to face people like this. We can't ignore it. We have to recognize it for what it is. I did not. I mean, I knew James Carville was colorful and ridiculous and entertaining at times. This is really dangerous. This is way past the point of acceptability. Hopefully somebody close to him gets to him and saves him from himself. But to openly pray for hate and the language is, yeah, I'm on social media right now. I probably could use the same language. I'm not even going to repeat it. I feel bad enough inferring that it exists, but it's unacceptable. Unacceptable. And like I say, I've always liked him. I think that like has been changed now. I don't know. I don't know that I can laugh off his ridiculous behavior anymore. I think it's gone over the top to the point he needs to get some serious help. And again, this isn't about politics. This is not about Trump policy anymore. It's about winning, losing. Carville feels like he's losing. And I think he's just hating it. I mean, name a policy about Trump's that you don't like, James. Name something that he's doing that you think is completely bonkers or something that would cause you to be so crazy. Anything. Is he helping the government too much? Is he helping economy too much? I mean, James has been attacking his own people I say his own people, his own party, for going along with the crazies, and he has absolutely become one. I don't. I think it was Sandy that mentioned that podcasters as well as radio shows, talk show hosts and stuff like that that are Democrat and pushing Democrat progressive policies, socialist policies, just can't make it. They can't. I don't think James Carville's going to make it with that. You might tune in to see the train wreck or something, but it's not it's not entertaining anymore. It's not worth listening to. And I like listening to opposition party. I like to understand their thought process and all that. I cannot get even close to that. I can't even get close to what that thought process is. I don't know. I don't know. It's just pure evil, pure hate, and he's just spewing filth at this point. Uh, I don't know where we go from there. I don't know where he goes from there. In fact, I kind of feel sorry for him, but he needs to get some help. Some news in Yuma that doesn't have all the filth in it. Actually, this is not bad. Yuma Fire Department, and I read this story. I think it came out from KYMA. They responded to over 400 emergency service calls in just last week. 400. Trying to wrap my head around that. That's a lot. I guess 12 a day or so. But and of those calls, 13 were fire calls. So it's a fire department that the huge percentage of calls doesn't have anything to do with fires because they do a lot more than that. 13 fire calls that include an RV and home fire. In fact, if you call an ambulance, quite often you get a fire truck. It's just part of the business. They carry a lot more equipment. They carry a lot more opportunities for defibrillators and life-saving measures than even the ambulances can carry, I guess. So you may get both of them if you call for a fire. But only 13 calls were for RV and home fires. So you're getting about one of those every 3 days on average. And it's not a small city. It's what is it? We're over 100,000 people, so it's pretty good size. The fire department public information officer, Francisco Leon, says what happens is people leave those fans on. He's talking about common fires they see in ventilation. Yeah, bathroom ventilation, fan fires, and backyards or patio fires from heavy fuel loads. He says what happens is you leave those fans on, meaning like the ventilation fans, they let them run for hours, and eventually when they get dirty, they seize up. Heat eventually creates a fire, and those fires can spread into the attic, in the attic, and we have a bigger problem. I don't know that I always thought about that. I mean, I know there's times people bring those down and clean them or whatever, clean out the vents. But I guess they can get a lot of stuff in there. I mean, I live in a house now that was built in the 70s. Probably should pull down a few of those fans and take a look at it. I don't know if they're original fans or not. They probably need to be replaced just because they're old. That's a scary thing. So they recommend inspecting ventilation fans and cleaning them monthly. Monthly. I would guess, and I don't know this for facts, but I don't think the fans in my house have been cleaned in 50 years. I'm guessing. I don't know. I mean, who does that? They're not accessible. It's not something that can be accessed easily. At least the houses I've lived in, I don't think they are. Generally means you have to get up in the attic. Maybe I'll do that today. They also say inspect electrical cords, make sure they don't have any damage. That's easy to do. Electrical cords are the ones that are plugged into the wall. The ones you walk on all the time. They might get frayed or something like that. And these guys are talking from experience, of course. I mean, they're the ones that responded to the fires. They're the ones that look into why the fire happens. And for them to bring out electrical fans, it causes me concern enough to where I'll look at it. If cords are plugged in, never leave them underneath a mat or put anything on top of them. And I see that happen all the time. So you don't trip. Sometimes you run an extension cord across the floor, you put a mat on top of it so nobody trips. Well, it's getting a lot of pressure. It's getting rubbed under there. And after a period of time, it may become frayed. You can build heat. Eventually, it can cause a fire as well. Now, something I've done in my house, I haven't done enough of it, but I've been doing it, is I'm relocating plugs, electrical outlets. A lot of times we run these long extension cords and stuff because we don't have an electric outlet where we want the appliance. or the TV. I don't like having cords out visible. So TV's mounted on the wall. I want to put a plug right behind it. And it's not a hard thing to do. It's pretty simple. Um, be careful, know what you're doing. Get somebody who knows what they're doing because you're dealing with electricity. But it's not that difficult to do that, and do it to code. Do it to code. Get somebody to help you that can do it to code. Make sure everything's exactly as it should be. And then you're safe after that. You know, you don't have to worry about walking on extension cord and all that kind of stuff. And he talks about neighborhood cleanups. They're coming up. It's a good time for locals to do spring cleaning, remove clutter. Clutter is always a problem. Trash in the front yard, put it out there for city pickup and all that. But clutter in a house can cause problems. It's fuel. A good piece of advice I'd give people is to grab things that you don't need anymore. Put them out front. Just clear some of that clutter. Reduce the fuel load in your backyard, the side of your home. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So it's getting to be spring cleaning. It's about time to do that. Get that done. Yeah, then we could have a fire department that gets 400 calls and 0 fires, but they have other calls. They have other calls. Cats in trees, those kind of things. Ambulance calls. People that the fire department goes out and helps, and they're a service industry, and we're lucky to have them. And they don't get the heat that the police get. You know, we're not trying to defund the fire department, I don't think, which is good. That's good. There was an injury. A person was hit by a vehicle in Yuma. A pedestrian in a car just doesn't work well. It doesn't work out well for anybody, but particularly for the pedestrian. It happened in South Avenue B around West County's 16th and 3/8. I'm trying to think of where that is. That's towards the Somerton area, I guess. No, Avenue B is, yeah, it goes out towards the Cocopa. But you go up to 16th and 3/8. You're going to be near the casino, I would think. I don't know. I'd have to look at a map. I'm not doing that. But a man wearing dark clothing walking northbound on the roadway. I wonder what got him hit. He was walking on the roadway northbound. It is so scary. You know, and I drive it. And I was on the road at 2:30 this morning. And I have seen people in the road before. Occasionally somebody that's walking with a shopping cart or something and just I own the place and walking down the middle of the road. I've seen it. And when I do at early in the morning, I mean it's scary because they don't have reflective gear on. They're not very visible. If you're not paying attention, you could unfortunately hurt somebody. I don't hesitate to call it in right away. If I see somebody that's walking down the roadway in the middle of the night, of course I'm going to call it in. I'm going to try to get that situation taken care of before it is a disaster. And it's a disaster to have a car hit somebody, and not just for the person getting hit. The person that's in the car has to live with that. The driver of the vehicle, according to Yuma County Sheriff's Office, contacted law enforcement regarding the crash. So, you know, of course, he called right away. Rural Metro arrived at the scene, taking the victim to Onvita Health. Serious injuries. Neither speed nor alcohol appeared to be a factor. And that's good to know. 2:30 in the morning, you never know. 2:30 in the morning, it could be that somebody stayed up a little late and finally decided to go home and go to get some sleep before they had to get up at 8 o'clock and go to work. Sad, but true. It does happen. And but no alcohol going on or speed. But man, you're not really looking for an individual, and that's not a place with streetlights, I wouldn't think. So you only have a few seconds if you're traveling the speed limit. You only have a few seconds. All of a sudden, you're going to come up on somebody, and when you're walking on the road, you can see the car coming from a mile or two away. And I guess there's an assumption if I see him, he sees me. Well, that car has very bright headlights, is loud, and you're not either of those. He doesn't see you necessarily right away. His headlights are going to pick you up eventually, and hopefully it's not too late for him to make a quick change and direction or stop or something. Well, we hope the guy's okay, or girl. I don't know. It just says pedestrian. Why do I assume a guy? Yeah, it says a man. Okay, it does say a man. Man walking in dark clothing. Um, very unfortunate. And we hear that happening late at night, and people walk out, and I can only assume they think the car sees me. Not in the middle of the night, and you're dressed in dark clothing. Maybe, wear a hat with lights on it if you're gonna go out and do that stuff. Got an article that says half the teachers in California plan to retire or quit in 10 years. I find that interesting. I assumed it was because they hate California and living there has got to suck. That's not the case. No. State teachers in California are older, average older than the teachers in other states. It's not a lot. Average age of a California teacher is 45.5. That's higher than I thought. Usually you see a lot of younger people enter into the teaching field. Obviously, more old people are hanging on than I thought. In the U.S., it's 42.9. So it's only a couple of years difference. This means that age likely is a major reason. That's what it says. Likely a major reason why California teachers are more likely to say they plan to retire. Well, I don't know. They say 45%. If you look at the rest of the country, it's only 36%. It's 10% different. The age is only a couple of years. There's a lot of evidence that indicates that teachers' morale has been declining nationwide and is at, by some measures, the lowest point in recent memory. Report found that nearly half of the U.S. teachers say they expect at some point to work in a field other than education. I think that's been common for years. You see a lot of teachers that do it and get started in a career and get some experience and move around, but that's most careers. A lot of people move around. Let me see. There's a total of 5,802 public school teachers working in kindergarten through 12th education that responded to the survey. And it's a state of teaching report totaling 9,892 teachers after 3 years. California teachers are slightly better morale on average. Can you believe that? You live in San Francisco and you got better morale. Well, they like that bubble. They like it. Obviously, they're enjoying the crime and the poop on the sidewalks. I don't know what that says about our teachers, but they're enjoying it. But the morale's higher than their peers in other states. But more are planning to leave the profession in the next decade. The teachers, there's a teacher shortage, and they talk about it. They detail that retaining and recruiting teachers is a nationwide issue. And largest teacher union, the National Education Association, said the educator shortage crisis is real. I don't doubt it. I know there's a hard time in Yuma. I can't remember a time there hasn't been, though. I think it's always difficult to recruit and to go out and find teachers. It's a constant thing. It's like finding doctors to come to Yuma too. It's tough, but it's tough all over the country. I mean, there's a shortage of a lot of different doctors in certain professions. It just is. Majority of teachers are satisfied with their job, but 40 to 45% are considering leaving for financial issues. They think they can make more money. And that's a normal. If you can, then do it. If you like doing it, that doesn't. You can always make more money working in a coal mine. It doesn't mean I want to do that, and it's dangerous. 54% of educators they've known coworkers who left careers in education because of financial strain. I don't doubt that a bit. That sounds very real to me. Educators are actively organizing to increase and defend school funding across the state. And that's California. Ensuring school districts prioritize spending on students' learning conditions and working towards a permanent extension of Prop 55 and up to the $15 billion it generates for our schools annually. Well, the teachers are always looking for pay raises, and I know I know they're not at the top of the totem pole on some professions. Some professions are much higher. Imagine there's some professions lower, but there's some professions are much higher. San Francisco teachers went on strike demanding higher pay in February. First strike in San Francisco educators since 1979. And, you know, apparently there's going to be more of it. So I looked up some of this strain on education according to budgets, state budgets, and stuff like that. And I was looking at Arizona. I mean, and I'm interested in Arizona, obviously. And in the state of Arizona, half our budget, half our physical budget every year, billions of dollars goes to education. That's a number one. That's a number one expense. And we need to find ways. We do need to find ways to make that more palatable for the state and everything else. But I don't think we're working in that direction. I don't. I think right now ESA is probably giving some relief, but they frame it. And I say the Democrats frame it as costing the state more money. They say ESA is costing us more money. Not true. A student in ESA gets half the money that a student in public school gets. Period. That's a fact. Half. Ask the SOS, Save Our Schools, to explain that. And they try. They do. They say, well, we still have to pay for the schools that we build. We still have to pay people even if they don't go there. That's what I've heard from people that I've brought that up. Well, that's just ridiculous. And in the long run, that all works out. That way you don't have to build more schools now. They're not going to expand. And a lot of times the schools are built with bond money. Doesn't necessarily come all of it from population. I mean, schools get paid by head count. They do a head count in every school. And I don't remember how many days it is, but after the start of the year, if you've got X number of students, multiply that by $15,000 approximately, and that's what you get. And there's exceptions. You get more for students that need special attention, special needs. But it's about $15,000 a head. Well, that's how much you get for the public schools. In ESA, most you're going to get, the top pay, with the exception of special needs, top pay is going to be $7,500. Half. How is that more money? Well, SOS is working real hard to discredit ESA, and they're having a tough time. And thank goodness that we've got the senators and representatives that we do in our legislature that are protecting it and not letting our governor, our attorney general, believe it or not, our attorney general fighting for it. And of course, Tom Horn, who is our public instructor supervisor, voted in by the people, is protecting it. And one way he protects it, you know how he protects ESA? Is by making sure there's no money that is misspent, making sure there's no fraud, making sure that every receipt is proper, that nobody's getting a dime that doesn't deserve it. Because that's what the left is looking for, like a hawk. And they make up stories like, well, ESA money's going to buy cappuccino machines and spas for people's homes and stuff like that. Fabrication. And if it ever did happen, it happened when it first started, when it was under Democratic supervision. Tom Horn's not going to let it happen because he knows it would be the death of the program. And even though he is a superintendent for all public instruction, public schools and all that, and he cares about all of it, he doesn't want to see ESA torpedoed. And that's what we're trying to do. And it's bipartisan as far as attendance into ESA. Democrats, Republicans, independents, libertarians, even Green Party probably. You know, they're all getting involved in ESA because ESA is about choice. And it costs less. And we need to do something with the cost here in Arizona. In Arizona, 48% of the state budget, according to artificial intelligence, 48% go to K through 12. Now, that's not all the education, but that's the K through 12 is 48%, about $7.7 billion for the fiscal year 24-25. Now, and if you combine the state, local, and federal, it's $14.8 billion once you put it all together. State, local, federal, $14.8 billion. And that doesn't include the universities. Universities got nearly $1 billion also. They throw funds at the universities. State universities get funds. But they charge tuition, so of course they're not going to get the total funds that K through 12 gets. And this was an interesting thing, interesting number is the percentage of money that goes to the public education. What percentage of that money actually goes into work in the classroom? Anything to do with the classroom? And that's a common issue at times where people say, well, you spend too much money outside the classroom. Outside the classroom is staff, secretaries, security. All that stuff is necessary. I'm not saying it's not, but it's too heavy. Well, the operational spending that goes to the classroom is only 52.6%. Nearly half of the money that we send to our education institutions go outside the classroom. Amazing. I didn't know it was that high. So that was new information. So I was curious back in like 1980, which is a long time ago. That's 46 years, a long time. How much did we pay per pupil then? And it was different. We paid $2,600 a person. Now it's basically $15,000 per person. And in the 1980s, it represented about 30% of our total budget. Now it's representing 48% of our total budget. Kind of amazing. And again, that's some quick research. I didn't verify it. I didn't drill down on those numbers and find out why, but education's changed. I don't know. I mean, I see waste, I see fraud, I see stuff in public. I know ESA is going to get the headlines that there's fraud in ESA and it's going to bankrupt the state, and that's all just nonsense. But if they say it enough, you're going to believe it, unfortunately. But we do have issues with our school systems at times with waste, fraud, and abuse, which just makes it worse. But I'm surprised that so much goes outside. And I remember going to school. It was a long time ago. I graduated high school in the 70s. And my school had 2,000 students or so. It was a medium-sized school. I mean, there were larger schools in the state of Delaware, but 2,000 and 2,500, something like that. It was a pretty healthy school. We had one principal. There were no assistant principals. We had one principal. But now there's a lot of assistants, assistant superintendents, and those are not a small ticket item. So I don't have the answers. I don't know how much extra work's being put on them. And a lot of times legislation has put extra work on these institutions and give me more reports, more reasons why the money's not going into the classroom. And so you hire people to do that's outside the classroom. It's ridiculous, but it goes on. U.S. Army is testing reusable drones right here in Yuma, which I always find interesting. We do a lot of that kind of stuff here. There's a drone that's put out by Raytheon that's reusable and reusable versus the non-reusable. Non-reusables are one-way drones. Like they have a big bomb on them or a little bomb, whatever the case, and they go to a specific target and just blow themselves up along with the target. Those are kind of common, like in the Ukraine war and all that. But there's also a lot of drones that are, fly out, do a mission, come back. Well, Raytheon's testing one of those. So it flies the mission, comes back. It's called the Coyote Block 3NK Interceptor. It disables swarms of drones. And that's a technology into itself where you release a big group of drones, a big group, and they communicate with each other and they all head towards the same location. And there's a lot of intelligence in these drones to communicate with one another and to concentrate. And they do that because it's hard to shoot them all down. You can't shoot them all down. you got a missile or something you fire into the middle of it, and it may blow up a few of them, but they space themselves. I mean, they specifically will fly in spacing and interact with one another. And amazing the technology that's going into these things. So they came up with this Coyote Block 3NK interceptor, and it's a non-kinetic, which means it doesn't blow up. Electromagnetic effects instead of missiles. So it flies out into this grouping of drones, flies by them, and all of them fall to the ground. It does something electronically to all the drones. I guess they use this in Venezuela, from what I understand, and are using these kinds of things more. It's integrated into the Army's LIDS architecture, LIDS. I forget what LIDS stands for. If I get to that, I'll tell you. But it's something with a lower cost or something. Obviously, drones and stuff like that to help counter low cost aerial threats more sustainably and affordability. Like if you look in the Ukraine, a lot of these drones are off the shelf. They're $400-500 are very effective. And they send them in there, and then somebody sends up $1 million missile to shoot it down. It's not a good ratio. It's not what you want to be doing. You want to send a Patriot after a $400 drone. You're going to lose the war. just financially, you can't do that. So they want to come up with some more low cost alternatives, and this is one of them that they found is it's an electromagnetic effect, and it takes down. Now Ukraine's been using a lot of these. In fact, they're using them. They're using them with small airplanes, small sports aircraft. Sports just mean they're lighter and smaller, but they can take a couple passengers in it, and they have some ability to transmit some electronic feature, electromagnetic or EPM or EMP of some kind, and they spot these drones. They fly up next to it and zap them, and they just fall to the ground or lose guidance or something. And it's been working for them. Well, they tested these things out in Yuma Proving Ground, so you may have a neighbor that knows what this is. It's called the Coyote Block 3NK Intersable. They can disable multiple drones all at a time using no bullets or bombs, just electronically. Well, the Block 3NK replaces a traditional warhead with an energy weapon that disrupts and disables. It says it's electronic warfare system. These effects can cause immediate electronic failure, loss of control, bringing drones down without explosions. It can, and then you fly the drone back to its starting blocks, and they capture it in a net. They refurbish it, redeploy it, and they send them back out on the road. That's a good thing. And that's what YPG does. YPG is always testing systems, testing things to make it more effective, to find flaws, to break it. If they can break it, they want to break it at YPG instead of out in the field. So every time they're working out there and they're doing stuff, they're making it safer for the American soldier. They just do. That's their mission. Oh, here's what it stands for. LIDS. It's low, slow, small, unmanned aircraft. Low, slow, small, unmanned aircraft. That's LIDS is what they call it. And it's an integrated defeat system, LIDS. So it's low, slow, small, unmanned aircraft, and then integrated defeat system, LIDS. Combines sensors, command and control, multiple effectors to protect critical assets. It loiters. I saw a YouTube explanation of it, showed some of the testing of these things, and they kind of fire it out of a tube, and then the wings come out. It kind of loiters around, flies around, and takes care of business. And this technology is changing so rapidly, and Russia gets YouTube and everybody that is trying to defeat these systems. So they're looking at this and saying, okay, how can we defeat the one that's defeating us? We got to come up with a drone that's impervious, hardened, or something that won't have the effect. Part of what Russia and Ukraine both have done is that these systems, these jamming devices, these systems that disrupt electronically have been overcome by using a wire. Uh, a drone takes off and is not flying by electronic signal. They're flying by wire. It's a fly-by-wire system, and these wires are filament, like the plastic filament stuff, like fishing line, fiber optics, and that wire can be a couple miles long. So obviously they're using this when they're up close on the front lines and they're close to the opposition, to where they can fly these things in and they can put all these this equipment, this jamming stuff on it, and it's not going to have any effect. Now these other systems, they may include something like an EMP that burns up the circuitry. I don't know. We won't know because we're not going to tell them. Imagine. But this advancement of technology in the 4 years with Russia and Ukraine has got to be keeping them busy, keeping them at the drawing boards, because it's moving rapidly, and they get to see things real time in battle as it's going on. Unfortunately, there's a real test site out there in Ukraine, and I know that some of the Ukraine drone people are considered the experts in the world, because they got the most experience. They got real time experience. They got real time in there, and I forget where it just happened, but Lewinsky. Oh, in Iran, I think Lewinsky has lent a contingent of his top drone people to help out with some of the Iranian stuff. That because of the time and experience, he said, of course, we'll send them in. So that's actually a big deal, a big deal. An Oregon judge has just limited federal agents for use in tear gas. This stuff is kind of sad. I understand, you can't have unlimited aggressiveness from any agent, federal or police or whatever. I mean, it could be abuse of power, abuse of things. I don't know that that's exactly what's happening. But U.S. District Judge Michael Simone, he issued a preliminary injunction in a lawsuit brought by the American Civil Liberties Union of Oregon on behalf of protesters and freelance journalists. They were all named in the suit against Homeland Security. It argues that officers' use of chemical munitions amount to retaliation, and it chills First Amendment rights. You have First Amendment rights to protest, and I agree. I'm a big supporter of First Amendment rights. But when you go beyond it, when you're engaging in illegal activity, whether it's blocking a roadway, blocking ICE agents, bullhorns to, excessive loud noises and all that kind of stuff, which has ordinances against it. It's illegal most places. And so is sitting in the middle of the road. It's illegal. And quite often, and you see it in years past, like in the 60s or something, when people would protest and sit down, the cops come pick them up, they take them in to process them, and then they'd release them an hour later, they'd go have lunch. And at some point that breaking the law has become acceptable. It's become acceptable. We can break the law. Well, it's turned into punching. It's turned into ramming your cars into agents. It's turned into using your car to block roadways. Not acceptable. It's turning into fireworks, professional fireworks being exploded at ICE officers. They say it's just protest. It's not protest at some point. It's not protest. And quite often the officers, whether they be federal or not, can ask for the roads to be cleared and say, look, this has turned into an unsafe situation. They've got to protect the public, and you have to disperse. And these chemical agents are quite often disbursement tools. Now, whether or not they were using them properly in Portland, I have no inside knowledge. But this district judge doesn't like it. In fact, there was evidence submitted in this court that shows officers spraying OC spray directly into the faces of protesters engaged in passive resistance and deploying tear gas and pepper ball rounds into crowds. Now, I've seen some of those videos. I have. Passive resistance, and I want to focus on that for a second. What is passive resistance? Does that mean if I sit down on the road and block traffic and ambulances can't get through, that's passive resistance? Of course that's happened. And I think the impression is that's passive resistance. And I think this judge thinks that's passive resistance. If I go up to a police officer and I put my hands on him, is that passive resistance? And those are some of the videos I've seen. I've seen videos where police officers will stand completely still with protesters screaming in their face, inches away, screaming. They reach out and put their hand on that officer, and that OC spray goes right in their face. Which this judge is calling retaliation or passive resistance. And I don't know if he's talking about that case specifically. I don't know. I didn't see the tapes. But that's what I'm envisioning, because that's what I've seen happen, at least on video. I've not personally been to one. I would go. I would stay back a few hundred feet. I wouldn't want to get up close to an officer and get in the way or be mistaken for getting in the way. The judge says plaintiffs provided numerous videos which were received in evidence and unambiguously show DHS officers spraying OC spray directly into the faces of peaceful and nonviolent protesters engaged in, at most, passive resistance, and discharging tear gas and firing pepper ball munitions into the crowd of peaceful and nonviolent protesters. I don't doubt that some of that video in certain clips may appear to be that. I'm sure you can edit it to say, well, here's a period when nobody was being violent, but the tear gas is still there. We're still coming. And I don't know. I'm asking the questions. Is that really what's happening? Do you think ICE officers and everybody love to spray? I mean, they've got to live in that environment too. It's not pleasant for anybody. I think this thing is more dangerous than this judge thinks it is, but it may be me. I may be wrong. He says defendants' conduct, physically harming protesters and journalists without prior dispersal warning, is objectively chilling. Now, I've watched a lot of videos where you hear the police officer saying disperse, to asking them to disperse, and everyone ignores it. I think they're trained to ignore it. You know, there's training going on how to be a disruptor. Department of Homeland Security has previously said that the agents have followed their training, used minimum amount of force necessary to protect themselves, the public, and the federal property. A federal judge also ruled to restrict agents' use of tear gas in a separate case brought by the residents of an affordable housing complex across the street from an ICE building. Now, see, they're across the street from the ICE building. And the reason the ICE is deploying that kind of agent in their own neighborhood is because the protesters are attacking the building. Look at the damage to those buildings. And you tell me it's passive. I mean, they may have gotten a video of somebody that looked passive at the time. They may have. But I'd want the judge to look at all the video. You tell me what the police officer is going to do, what the federal agent's going to do to make that community safe, disperse that crowd, and to be able to get their jobs done. I think that'd be an interesting conversation. Simon barred agents from using chemical or projectile munitions such as pepper balls and tear gas unless someone poses an intimate threat of physical harm. Physical harm. In other words, putting your hand on the agent wouldn't be physical harm, but it's against the law. But I guess that's not enough of a law for him to think that you have to use some kind of agent. And if you don't break up those mobs and don't break up those crowds, they get violent very fast. And I think that's told that by agents that have to work with it. And you've got to keep it from that point. He also instructed agents not to fire munitions at the head, neck, or torso unless the officer is legally justified to use deadly force against that person. And I don't know exactly when deadly force is acceptable. I don't know. I mean, it's subjective to an officer's reasonable feeling that his life or life of others are in danger, that things have escalated to the point that people are in danger, or he's in danger personally. that is somewhat objective, because you may misread the situation, like they did to the gentleman that got shot. I say gentleman in Minneapolis, where he was lying on the ground fighting with officers. People yell gun because there was a gun. The gun goes off, so a gun's discharged. And officers shot that man because they had reasonable suspicion that deadly force was necessary. And it's an unfortunate situation, particularly in the chaos and everything else that's all going on there. It was terrible. And these protesters work to get it to that situation where these ICE officers are going to be confused. These ICE officers are going to be bombarded with so much noise, so much touching, so much disorderly pushing, shoving. Is pushing and shoving deadly force? It's illegal. I mean, as an ICE officer say, okay, you can push me backwards, you can push me, and I'm not allowed to use tear gas anymore. I think those are good questions. I mean, that's something these guys are gonna have to sit down and discuss at Homeland Security and discuss with their lawyers and everything else, which is ridiculous. It says additionally, they must only target people who are engaged in violent, unlawful conduct or actively resisting arrest, or use it as reasonably necessary in a defensive capacity. It's like, don't shoot until you're shot, I guess. He said that trespassing, refusing to move, refusing to obey an order to disperse are acts of passive resistance. He summed it up. So if I stand in the middle of the street and I've got a mob of 50 people standing in the middle of the street, and the officers come out and say, you've got to leave, you're blocking traffic, you're a nuisance to this society, this community, you're a danger. That's passive resistance. They can't use anything. What? They can't. They've got to get 100 officers in there to disperse them, maybe, but 2 per person to pick them up and carry them out. And then they just run right back. Or they go in and get processed and the judges drops the charges and they run right back. This Judge Michael Simon think that's the way our society should work. I don't know that founding fathers found that. I mean, if I'm wrong, do the research, let me know. That the founding fathers were okay with this. That you could disrupt commerce, you could disrupt businesses, you could disrupt the police activity, stand in the middle of the road, not let their cars through. And that's passive resistance. And it's trespassing, refusing to move. So you're not allowed to use any of the tools at your disposal other than what? You can warn them to disperse. And he just said you would want to warn them to disperse before you use the agents. But now he's saying warn them to, if they're just being passive, if they're sitting in the streets, blocking all the vehicles in front of the ICE agent driveway, you can't disperse them with tear gas. That's unreasonable. But that's where it stands right now. And the Trump administration has always followed the legal advice and the legal, the legal conclusions that have come out of these courts. If the court says don't do it, they've been fighting it. They've been appealing and all that, but they respectfully have followed, the judge's orders. This one's going to be a whole new deal. The mayor of Portland, Keith Wilson, not King, Keith Wilson. Federal forces deployed heavy waves of chemical munitions impacting a peaceful daytime protest where the vast majority of those present violated no laws, made no threats, and posed no danger to federal forces. To those who continue to work for ICE, resign. To those who control this facility, leave. He says that federal officials are trampling the Constitution, so I beg to differ, but I'm not a legal scholar, but I'm interested in listening to those that are. I'm out of time. It's been 3 hours and a joy. Thank you so much. I will be back tomorrow. I'm broadcasting from Mortgage One Studios, AM 560 KBLU.